Hello, everybody, and welcome back to my channel. And for those of you who were over in the Agree to Disagree, welcome. I am very, very excited to be part of that show. It's just incredible. I've been enthusiastic about it ever since it started. But before I start anything, we have Simon Dan in the chat, and this is my only opportunity to say to over 100 people, Danny Ings sucks. Just gonna put that one out. He knows what I'm talking about. So yeah, it's great to have you guys all here. Pity about the topic. Just to say, I do have a guest coming on. I am waiting for that guest to actually enter the room, and I do hope that they're able to get in. Before that, I'm going to go through for those of you who don't know what actually happened. And yes, Simon Dan, again, Danny Ings sucks. Yes, he does. I love his play channel. It's great fun watching Simon Dan do the FIFA rages. It just makes my day. So yeah, we're going to go over in a little while exactly what has led us to this point, and then I'm hoping my guest will be in to make their statement. Liverpool fan. No. Just no. So welcome. Who have we got in the chat? We have a good few people in the chat. Globe Earthers suck balls. Okay. Whatever. That's your view. Right. I'm going to set down the ground rules since that comment just came in. When my guest comes in, I am saying to all of my moderators, there is to be absolutely zero tolerance for abuse. I do not accept abuse on my channel. Cursing is fine because I curse all the time. I'm Irish, sorry. I curse all the time. But any level of abuse, I know this is a sensitive topic. I know people are hurting. I know people are upset. But please try to remain respectful because it's not easy to get on a stream like this and talk to all of you lovely people, especially about the topic that we're going to be talking about tonight. So, if anyone does get disrespectful to the point where it's absolutely ridiculous, then you have the permission not to time someone out. Hide them. Just hide them. They don't get a say if they're not going to follow the rules. Hey, no need for abusive nonsense. Exactly. And I love that name. Oh my God, I love that name. Spaghetti on Pizza Productions. Yes. There's no need for it. There's just absolutely no need for it. So, Atlas asks, what is the topic? For those of you who have not been paying attention to all the bullshit, I don't blame you. But here's a rough estimation as to what has happened over the last little while. 2 weeks ago, it came out that there was a fundraiser done in the community that turned out to be fraudulent. Following on from that, there was further investigation into another fundraiser, which turned out to be fraudulent. This is the fundraiser that the second fundraiser, let's be clear. The second fundraiser is the one that we are going to be covering tonight. So, just a TLDR. About just over a year ago, I entered the community and I came in contact with this individual. Ilya Moon joined the community about 2 years ago, and in June or July, we had a falling out, and it was a very, very public falling out. Following that falling out, there was claims that Ilya Moon had cancer. And following on from that, there was a fundraiser done to raise money for her to pay her medical bills that she had for having cancer. So this is the topic of discussion. It's not an easy topic of discussion, but this is the topic of discussion. And the reason why I'm raising it is because over the last few days, word has reached me that finally, after all of this bullshit, people have begun to get their refunds from that fraudulent fundraiser, from the first one anyway. So every single cent that was sent to Ilya Moon has now been refunded. About a week ago, just over a week ago, Ilya Moon came out. Well, I say she came out, she was forced to come out, but she came out on Twitter and said that she had indeed lied about having cancer, that she did not have cancer. I'm going to try and pull that up if I can. These are the messages that Ilya put up. Final public statement. I retained a lawyer. I will be working with them, and GoFundMe, who has been contacted directly or already to confirm and refund all the donations received through GoFundMe presented last year on my behalf. I will say there are missteps I made and lies in the process. Basically, it was Ilya coming to the community on Twitter and saying that she had been lying about the cancer fundraiser. So part of this was because Unirock and his crew and Nate the lawyer worked together with people in the debunk community. Yes, missteps. It's a very interesting wording. People in the debunk community, like the plot hole, actually got together with negative exponents and other people to expose all of this. And I'm thankful they did, because myself and Jessica G, I'm not sure if Jess is still in the chat, myself and Jess had been talking about this since October. October, I released a video towards answering the claims that she had towards me and explaining in detail my position when it came to Ilya Moon. A lot of people didn't like that, which is fine. I didn't expect them to. But, sorry. She didn't admit to lying. That was the worst part. She lied about lying about having cancer. She said the money was for older bills, but never presented receipts. So there is a lot, it opened the door for a lot of older potential lies. I want to say potential lies. There is questions over her losing a child turning out to be fraudulent. But unfortunately, what has happened is we have not heard directly from Ilya herself, except for what she has released on Twitter. We have heard from everybody else, but we have not heard directly from Ilya. So what we have heard from Ilya through other people is that she had cancer, but it was way back in 2012, 2013, and some bills were coming due. When my video dropped, she claimed that she was in a 5-hour surgery on her teeth. There was multiple reasons given, the first of which was that she was attacked, and the second was that she had cancer. Within the space of 2 or 3 days, it had gone to... within the space of a few days, it had gone from, I was attacked by someone, to, oh my God, I have cancer. So the main reason for this stream tonight is to formally explain to people that, yes, the refunds have gone through. That is the first thing. That does not solve anything, by the way. That does not make anything right. It's the first step in making things right, but it doesn't make it right. There is a lot of people in this community who have, I know one in particular who is going through cancer right now. And there are many, 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 many more who have had close family or close friends suffer from cancer. So the worry for me is that this doesn't happen again. That we don't create yes, that we have people who care about each other and help each other, but that we don't create a layer in our community that allows for a buffer zone. Every single thing in this community, this is the whole point of a debunked community, everything has to be questioned. Everything has to be backed up. Everything has to have proof. Yes, the refunds are mandatory from GoFundMe. She doesn't get a victory lap. To an extent, she has been participating in facilitating that refund. She was the one that launched that refund. Here's my issue with the whole situation. Well, there's many, many issues. But the first one here that has to be asked, and we all know the answer, unfortunately. Would Ilya have come clean? Would Ilya have told the truth if she had not been investigated? And what follows on from that is how many other people are in that same situation where they are sitting on something and they are afraid to bring it out. I'm not going to comment on that. If she turns up, I said a week ago on my stream that if she comes, she's more than welcome to come on and talk to us. And I will be fair. So I am expecting a guest. If the guest comes on, the guest gets preference. So again, what had happened was she came out, she said she had cancer. In my view, and I can only give my view, the cancer claim followed by the fundraiser, I don't feel was about money. Because here's the thing. What she said was she needed $4,000. $4,000 would not get you in to see a specialist. And so that tells me that it was not about the money. And that's what worries me. That's what scares me. This was not about money. This was about respect in the community. This was about love and the lack thereof and the need for it. And more importantly, it was about control. And it's the control aspect that I worry about, because any person who is articulate, any person who is a strong personality. I'm a strong personality. I'm not even going to lie. I'm a strong personality. I'm articulate. I'm confident. But any person in a position of power like we are influencers. Although we are tiny. Oh God. Apparently both Team and Mr. Andrath stalk me. I don't know how to feel about that, but okay. But yeah, the reason why I'm talking about it today is because it does need to be recognized that the refunds have gone through. It needs to be recognized for the people who have been truly hurt by this whole situation. You deserve to know the updates, and it doesn't seem to me that anyone is giving you the updates. So that's the first thing. Big update, the refunds have gone through. That's vital. That is vital. But again, it comes back to having a skeptical community to ensure that this doesn't happen again. When someone asks for refund, when someone asks for receipts, when they have given you money for a specific goal, and you are not forthcoming with those receipts, it's going to bring up questions. Asking for receipts is not being rude when you have given financially to another person. for a set goal. That's not rudeness. That is about holding people to account. Oh, Lorraine Kelly. Sorry. The chat is moving so fast. Great, she's giving refunds, but how about the apologies to people that she viciously attacked for daring to lie? This is my point, TT. This is the point that I'm getting to. Because Amber Cole is right, transparency is important. And it's not just her that owes the apologies to. And I want to explain why this actually happened. When she came out with her cancer claim, there was a buffer around her. There were people around her that absolutely viciously attacked on many, many levels anyone who would dare to question her. And this is dangerous. This is absolutely dangerous. Because what it does is it creates a buffer for people to feel like it's okay for them to do this. So because she wasn't challenged on the idea of having cancer, because who would challenge someone who had cancer, who was claiming to have cancer? Because she wasn't challenged, she then felt confident enough and comfortable enough to say, well, you know, I have bills. How about help me pay those bills? And having that confidence to say, well, I'm not going to be challenged on this at all. Having the confidence to not be challenged at all means that they're going to take it one step further, and they're going to keep pushing, and they're going to keep pushing. And this is what I said back in September, before this all came out. If we're not checking ourselves, if we're not checking each other, we are giving people who would abuse our trust the keys to the door. You know, we're allowing them to take advantage. And the people who knew what she was, and how far she was willing to go, the fact that they stayed quiet means that they get to continue to push out the envelope even more to see how far they'll get. When Ilya came to the community and said I had cancer, of course she thought there was going to be reprisals. And when they didn't come, she accepted, well, you know, if they're not going to ask questions, I'm going to push it that one little further. And again, anyone that questioned it was forced out of the community by viciousness, absolute viciousness. Thank you, C4, for $5 saying, I'm not sure what to say, so here, take my money. God. Well, again, here's the thing. I give quite a lot. I don't mind giving. And when I have it, I'll give. But if it's for a particular reason, then it's understandable when I want proof that that's happened. Jessica G for $2 says, tomorrow Keela apologizes for Franklin's death. If Franklin ever existed, Jess, that's the question. You've yet to prove that Franklin exists. And 170 people don't want to know the story behind Franklin. Because that's just embarrassing. Here we go. The Bemused one. I have stage 4 incurable cancer. People who fake it are scum. Agreed. And there's no other way of getting around that. Hang on. My guest is trying to get in. So I will have a guest, guys. And people know, if you've been around my YouTube before, people know that I can't multitask. I'm sorry. Sorry, guys. Give me one sec. Because this is important. This person has to have their say. Okay, I missed quite a lot. I'm sorry. Even in like 2 minutes, I missed quite a lot. The plot hole for $2 is direct donations are the best donations, Franklin. Okay, I'll tell the Franklin story while I'm waiting for my guest. So, my guest is here. Give me 1 second. So, the Franklin story is when I became monetized. A particular person who was going to rename nameless because he doesn't deserve the credit, said that because he gave me my first donation, he got to name I think it was my right eyebrow. Why anyone would want to do that, I don't know. But yeah, that's the Franklin story. So Nerd Angle for $9.99 off to set up the outdoor projector for the little one and her outside movie night. Remember, people can be good to each other. Creators, you have the influence that comes with responsibility. That's the point. So you all know the story. You know what has happened. You know the refunds have been issued. Oh God. Jim Broughton says, for £2, I give money so I can make silly comments. Right. So from here on out, guys, I'm going to leave the super chats to the end. And that includes Jessica's from just now. No, Jess, no. Because this is too important. So last Thursday, I said on my stream that if Ilya wanted to talk to me, that I would be fair. I reached out and I invited her on. And so I am delighted that she has accepted, because a lot of us need to hear directly from her what was going on in her head, and she deserves her say. So with that, hello, Kim.
Hello.
How are you doing?
I'm so sorry. I was struggling so hard to get into this meeting, but I'm here. Hi.
It's okay. It's okay.
I'm nervous, but I'm ready to do this. So,
Yeah. So what we decided was you were going to you have an opportunity to make a statement, to
yeah.
give your perspective, and then we'll have a conversation afterwards, if that's okay.
Yes.
So before you start, I want to say again to the chat and to my mods, absolutely no abuse is to be accepted in my chat. None. So if you see it, they get the fuck out. So with that, the floor is yours. The stream is yours.
Thank you. The reason I decided to come on with you specifically is because when you emailed me, you seemed very sincere and genuine that you wanted to work past this and have a real conversation, so that way not only you could move on in peace, but you seem to care about, honestly, my well-being, and that meant a lot to me. Yes, refunds have been issued across the board, and not just from the GoFundMe perspective, but also anyone who donated via super chats that were PayPal to me or by PayPal itself has also been refunded. I made a lot of mistakes last year. I'm not proud of the person I became. There was a lot going on in my life last year. And this is not going to be some woe is me, I'm the victim, feel sorry for me type of conversation. But I want to give some perspective on some things that happened. I feel like that's fair.
Yep.
So in 2019, before last year, obviously, I had been diagnosed with PTSD and with social anxiety disorder. And my doctor had started me on a medication regimen. Now, we had tried several medications prior. They had tried me on Zoloft, Wellbutrin. I mean, you name it. If it's in the anxiety medication family, I probably tried it until we finally put me on Paxil. This is important because there is some things that have happened over the past few months since I stepped away from everything that has changed, and some new developments in my mental health that, I feel like it's important that I kind of talk about that for a minute, because I've known for a long time that mental health was a problem for me since I was a kid. When I was 13, 14, 15, my parents had me in therapy. And my parents had me in therapy until the therapist told them it was their fault I was fucked up in the head. So, mental health issues come from a very young age for me. It's not an excuse for behavior, but nonetheless, my mental health is not good and hasn't been for years. I've tried so many different things to get my mental health under control, but then things will happen and it triggers me. In October of 2019, several things happened back to back, which I've shared with Crafty. Crafty and I had a very lengthy conversation last week where I explained to her a series of events that took place that can be verified and validated, at any point, that triggered me. And this series of events that triggered me left me feeling completely alone and like I belonged nowhere. I felt like I had no friends left, no family, I didn't have anybody. I lost my job. I lost my best friends. And then I lost my ex-husband, all in the matter of 2 months in 2019. And there were some other personal things that had happened that I don't really necessarily feel the need to share because it's not pertinent to what happened now. As I started entering into the YouTube community, I had been around but been quiet for a long time and had become friends with a couple of people behind the scenes, but wasn't really in the limelight at all. It was just more of inside chats, talking and hanging out until I was asked to be a part of the network, formerly the Shills. And at first, I initially was very hesitant, but then I decided I would do it because at that time I felt like what's the worst that could happen? I make friends. So when I first actually started in this community, to be very honest with you, there was no malintent. There was never an intent to hurt people. There was never an intent to do anything but make friends and feel like maybe I belonged somewhere. I had been searching for a really long time to feel like, I don't know, like I I don't know, just to feel like I would fit in somewhere. And for once I felt like I fit in. And it's stupid. It sounds stupid. It sounds utterly ridiculous, but that's the truth. Um Shortly after joining the community, there was a passing of my child. Now, I know there's questions around this, and Crafty and I spoke about this too in our conversation. I think there's confusion because of a couple of things. One being that, yes, initially when I talked about it, I didn't want people to know who my son was. I didn't want my real information out there. And under the pressure, I cracked and I told Curie Mack one thing, but it was something else. And I want to apologize to Curie Mack right now that she was put in that situation. I am genuinely sorry, publicly, that she was put in that situation. It wasn't her fault. And I feel terrible that she was put in that situation and everything at the time. Um, I had heard rumblings that there was an old personal account of mine that had a picture of me and a boy on it, and that the parents were found, and that they said I was just a babysitter. I have no clue what that picture is. I was telling Crafty that the other day, that I don't know if that was a picture of my nephew or what, because I legitimately gave birth. Um, and public records, you can go in and you can find public records around birth announcements and things, and it was announced in the local paper. So if you know my name, you should be able to go and find the birth record of where I gave birth. And if you don't believe me, reach out or find out how to reach out to me privately via email. And I have no problems with sharing the birth certificate to anyone who wants to question that. That was probably the situation that broke me more than anything last year. And at the time, I was really, really, really heartbroken that anyone would question me about something so severe. Um, but then again, here I am coming on to talk about how I lied about a fundraiser. So I guess it's not far fetched to think that people fall. Um, After that happened, I was I was not well, and I knew I wasn't well. In June, July of last year, Punchy and I had been dating, online for a while, and I went into a very severe depression after my grandfather passed away, and to the point, and there were other reasons why too, but I just wasn't me anymore. Everything about me had changed. I wasn't happy. I was mad all the time. I was irritated all the time. I hated life. I didn't want to live anymore. I was just a mess. And that's not an excuse for any of my behavior. It's just giving you some perspective of where I was mentally. I was exhausted and I was at my breaking point. So when things started happening with Keela and I, where we were arguing and there was our issues that were going on, I wanted it to go away. I just wanted it to go away. More than anything, I wanted it to go away. I didn't want to argue anymore. I didn't want to have the fighting anymore. I didn't want any of it. I just wanted it to go away and move on. That's all I wanted. And around that same time is when I made a big mistake and I slept with someone who was a part of the community that I shouldn't have slept with. And all of it tied together led me to this path of, well, if I do this, then the focus will be off of these things. And then I don't have to face these things. I can just move on. So I want to make a couple of things very clear. I did have a tumor at one time. I did legitimately have a medical issue with a tumor where I had to get treatment. The problem is that I lied about the timing. It wasn't last year. Now, with that said, when this was all going on and I wanted to avoid things, I didn't want to have to deal with what Crafty at the time was saying, and I didn't want to deal with all the backlash from everything, and I didn't want to deal with the fact that I screwed up and slept with somebody, and I didn't want to deal with any of it. For whatever reason, my brain thought, well, I'll just tell people I'm sick and we'll move on. And then maybe everybody will just leave me alone. At the time, there was no intent to even do a fundraiser. At the time, it was just, I wanted everybody to just, I needed, I just wanted to not deal with it all. And then, of course, people who cared about me genuinely, who felt genuinely bad and really thought this, pushed me. They were like, well, let's do a fundraiser for you. That's no excuse. It's not their fault. They were being caring friends. They wanted to help me. And their only way to do that was that way. So I gave in when I shouldn't have. I am very, very sorry to several people in this community, both personally and generally. I'm very sorry, one, to Carrie Mack, like I said at the beginning. She didn't deserve backlash at any point in time, and I'm sorry that it happened. I'm sorry to you, Crafty, for the drama that happened last year and how you were painted in that. I'm sorry to Jessica. Um, really just for what I did and how I handled the situation last year when it came to you. It wasn't fair to you, and I'm sorry. I'm sorry to you, PhD Tony, that you received backlash as well. Um, you didn't do anything but stand up for your friends. And that was it. You didn't deserve it all. I'm sorry to other people in the community who believed in me and really cared about me that I've let down. I'm sorry to Punchy. I'm sorry to Quitties. I'm sorry to Mr. Victory. I'm sorry to Mr. Serious. I'm sorry to Glober Mom. I'm so, so, so sorry to Bull. And if I could have time back with him to right this wrong with him, I would. I'm so sorry that I failed you guys. I'm sorry that I lied. And I'm sorry that I hurt the community. I'm also sorry to FDFE and Red's Rhetoric for their efforts in trying to help and clear my name when this all started, only to fail because I was failing them and lying to them. I'm sorry. I can't take back what happened. I can't. All I can do is try to do better and tell you I'm sorry. I I don't know when I became this person who cared so much about what everybody else thought of me and didn't care about my ethics or values along the way. But it's not who I am underneath it all. And I'm sorry. And I'm not coming back to the community. I'm not. I'm staying gone because that's the right thing to do. But I am genuinely sorry. And if I could go back in time and change all of that, I would. But I can't. So all I can do is say I'm sorry for what I did.
Well, it takes a lot of guts. I'm gonna say, it takes a lot of guts to come onto this stream because I'm not gonna go easy on you.
No, I know.
And we have agreed that.
Yeah.
You can understand why there will be people in the chat who believe none of this is genuine.
Right.
And I can't force anyone to accept your apologies. I can't force anyone to believe you. All I can say is it takes guts to come on. Just like to my chat, I can't force Ilya to be honest. If you believe that she's lying. We are going to get into a few things because I think we need to go a bit deeper because this is just surface level. So to anyone there screaming at the top of your lungs, chill to fuck out because we're only getting started here. So we are going to get into it. And as long as this remains respectful, I'll be happy, or as respectful as we can give. So the first question that I have, and it's the first question on everybody's mind. Why cancer? When you knew how much it cost, first of all, because you claim you had a tumor beforehand. Why did you think specifically? You could have chosen anything to say that you were sick. Why did you choose cancer when you knew so many in the community had been fucking devastated by that disease? Why did you choose cancer? That's what's on everyone's mind. Why did you do this?
The choosing of what I said at the time, I don't even know that I can give you any satisfactory response. At the time, I just blurted out whatever came to my head, and that's just the truth. And it wasn't well planned out. It's not like I don't know. I just blurted out whatever came to my mind in the moment, and that's what hit me, and that's what I said. I know that that's probably not satisfactory, but it's honest.
Because no, that's the one thing, because there's a lot of people in the
Yes.
community dealing with it.
Yes.
How long ago was this tumor that you? And I'm not going to ask where it was. It's not important. It's really
Right.
not important. How long ago was this that you had this tumor?
This was in 2013.
Right. And did you have that removed?
Yes.
And how much was that?
The total cost of all of that was about 17 grand because I had a hospital stay.
Yeah.
It was wide open surgery. It wasn't laparoscopic.
So again, I can't get over the 4,000 that you asked for. And this is the point that I'm getting at. I don't see that you did this for money. Because if you did this
No.
for money, then it would have been obvious that you would have asked for 10, 15, 20 grand. So again, I ask, why? What was the motivation?
It was never the money. You're right. It was never about the money. It was about avoidance. I didn't want to face the demons, quote unquote, figuratively speaking, that were around the situation with you and the situation with the person I slept with. I wanted to avoid it at all costs, and I wanted to feel sympathy and love and support from people, even though I didn't deserve it at the time, or didn't feel it at the time. I don't know how to explain it. I'm trying
Yeah.
to explain it the best way I can.
And again, I'm going to be fair to you, okay? And
No,
again,
that's fine. I deserve hard questions. I'm not going to avoid them. And, I knew coming into this, even though you were going to be fair, you were still going to ask those. So I'm perfectly
yeah.
fine. Yeah.
A big question that has been raised over the last little while is surrounding the death of your grandfather. Can I ask, when did he pass away?
He passed away June 29th of 2020.
So when did you get, how much did he leave you in his will?
Well, I'm not going to go into specific numbers, but
Yeah. Ballpark figure.
with the selling of his house and then all of the estate stuff, each grandkid received money. And I received my money in January of this year.
January. Okay. Right. Because that was one thing that was standing out to me, and I hadn't had a chance to ask when he passed away.
Well, I was actually supposed to get that in the fall of last year, but there were some things that happened with the house selling and the estate, and I can't explain everything around that, but because I don't know exactly how all that works. I'm not an expert in estates, but I know that sometimes estates take a little while to fully settle.
Yeah. I want to take it back to when you first entered the community.
Yes.
Obviously, I wasn't around. I only entered about a year ago. When you came into the community, you talked a bit about what had happened in your personal life. I have to be direct, and I have to ask, because this comes throughout the whole cycle of the last year. Can you say for certain that your ex-husband was physically abusive during the last year to year and a half?
My ex-husband was quite a a pain. That's the best way to put it. He knows. He knows good and well what he did. Um, he was very abusive and very toxic. Um, he comes from a long line of alcoholics where he was once one himself, and he had grown out of that and gotten somewhat better. But during the last little bit of our marriage, there was a lot of toxicity.
Yeah. But
And
you do understand there's a difference between being a pain, being toxic, and being physically abusive.
he was, no, he was abusive. He was abusive. But, um, in the heat of the moment, as things would happen, I may have exaggerated it some, but he was abusive.
Okay, thank you for that honesty. When it comes to your son, we did have a conversation about this.
Yes.
And I can't clarify whether it's true, whether it's not. That's not where I want to go with. You mentioned Kiri, and
Yes.
I don't want to talk for Kiri, but I do want to ask. You were going through all of this stuff, from a range of different things. Why was it that you felt, because I heard what you just said, you said that she shouldn't have been targeted and that was wrong, but what you didn't say, or what you omitted saying, was that you volunteered to Kiri and to others this information about your son. It's not that they asked you for it, and I just want to be very clear to the chat. They didn't ask for this. You volunteered it. And I'm just wondering what in your head said, oh, I'll do this. Was it that you thought they wouldn't follow up? Or what was that about? Why did you volunteer that information if you didn't want them to have it?
So some of that has confusion around it. It's kind of like an onion. You got to peel the layers back.
Yeah.
So my son had a passion for music, and he would do mixing and masters of beats and different things like that. And the confusion stemmed from when I talked about it and him having music on YouTube and stuff. I didn't clarify in the moment that the beats were his, but the person doing the videos were not him. And so that was my fault. I did not clarify, and I understand why it seemed like it did. As soon as I figured out the confusion, I tried to rectify it and talk through it. But it wasn't, no, Kiri did not like reach out and pressure me. What was his name? What does he do? How, nothing like that. No, nothing like that.
So again, my question is, well, why volunteer the information if you didn't want people to have that information? That's really my question.
I don't know. I mean, I don't know. If you want honesty, there are going to be questions that I can simply say, I don't know what I was thinking at that time. Because I don't. I don't understand some things that I've done. So I'm working through it in therapy now, but I don't know.
Mm-hmm. And again, like, I can't rejog your memory. I can't, because there's going to be people who anything you say, they're going to think is a lie.
I'm sure, and I understand and respect that.
I'm not going to be so disingenuous. I can only ask the questions. The reason why I asked about the husband was because part of the reason you claimed you went for the 5 hour or the emergency surgery
Yes.
was because what I was hearing was you were attacked. Now, some people have come back and said it was one person. Other people said you said it was a different person. In that moment, where had you been attacked?
Yeah, there was a situation with my ex and his girlfriend now.
Okay.
So there was a situation. I don't know what the confusion is about who hit me or what that situation was, but there was a situation to the point my parents had to even get involved. Not that me saying that matters. People are going to think I'm lying or whatever, regardless. But yes, there was a situation that involved my ex husband and his current girlfriend because they're still together.
Okay, so another thing that I really wanted to touch on, and there's a reason why we need to talk about this, and that is the sock accounts. Do you know how many sock accounts that you have made over the last year?
I only made two. Um, I think that there are some that other people made as troll accounts to, you know, troll both you and I. I don't know who they are, but I have only made two.
See, because I counted 14 that would speak directly the way you would speak. I counted at least 14.
I
I'm going to
have
be
no
honest.
idea of the other ones. I can only speak on, I mean, there's two.
And what were the names that you used for those sock accounts?
One of them I don't even remember. And that's just me being honest. And the other one was a Karina Rose account.
Hmm.
I do remember that one because that's the one I used the most when I wanted to join chats, but I didn't want to be me. But the other one, I think I literally created it in the moment and almost deleted it right afterwards.
Well, there was several people on Sit Down with the Bunkers that have all come out at different times to say you had at least 7.
I have no idea.
Hmm. They've come out and said you had at least 7. And I'm just saying.
I, 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 yeah, I know what you're saying. I don't know for sure I don't know that they are accurate in what they're trying to count as me. Because, like I said, I've only created two. And I did create two, but those are the two I created.
So part of the reason why I asked was because the when it all blew up with us,
Right.
um actually, let's talk about that. When it all blew up with us, it blew up with us because of a phone call with Amy Hogan. And first questions first. And I can't force you to be honest about this, but I need that answer.
Okay.
Um the the accusation that I would go around and spread rumors about your son dying being fake.
Okay.
That happened. That
So,
was laid at my door.
so I know that there were accusations about that, but the accusations, when I asked specifically who it came from, I was told it came from Dick Dawson. I went to Dick and had a talk with him about specifically what I had received from somebody else entirely. And it's very possible that in my conversation with Amy, that when I was talking about the rumors I was hearing, that I got confused because I never heard a rumor that you said that. The rumors I heard were that Dick said that.
That's not something you get confused on, because
No,
according to Amy and according to Glober Mom, who had confirmed it both to me and Amy and a few others, though Dick was nowhere in that conversation. Dick was not even raised in that conversation. All of the accusations that were made were aimed at me. I would like to know what I did in order to be accused of such horrendous things.
you didn't do anything. Um, I the rumor I had heard was about Dick. So the only, it was truthfully never my intent to say you said that. In the heat of the moment when we were talking to Amy and I was talking about hearing these rumors, I know I rattled that off as being a rumor, and it's my fault that I didn't clarify in the moment and say not of Crafty but of Dick, because I had already gone to Dick and talked to Dick directly about that.
Yeah, but again, the what was said to in that call, according to two individuals that were in the call, was she needs to be told that all these rumors need to stop.
Okay. I probably said that, yeah. I
Yeah.
don't remember the call verbatim, so I
Mhm.
probably did say that, and I'm very sorry that that particular rumor was laid at your doorstep, because that wasn't a rumor I heard about you.
All right. And
To be very clear, it was never a rumor that I heard that you had said. It was that Dick had said it, but I actually did full
and
screenshots with the username who sent it to me, who we know is a real person and not me. And I sent those to Dick and had a direct conversation with him separately.
and so the question then comes on to, you said to Dick that you had a recording of that conversation. Did you record that conversation?
Yes.
Do you still have the recording of that conversation?
No. When I left YouTube in December and made the decision I wasn't coming back, I deleted literally all of my files associated to anything with YouTube. I don't even have a thumbnail or anything saved anymore. I deleted everything that had to do with anything.
So then, big question: if you had that conversation on recording, and you knew, like, that the video that I made was directed at you, not at anyone else, it was directed at you, because of those accusations, why was it so hard for you to just not clear things up and send me the recording and say you're wrong about this?
At the time that all that was going on, I was actually, for the first little while, trying to just keep quiet for it to go away. But then when it wasn't going away, I just decided to ignore you and ignore Amy and asking me for it, and just handle it in a different way. Was it the right way? No. At the time, it's the way I chose. And I'm not saying it was right. I'm just, you know.
And that takes me back to another phone call that was recorded, and that was one regarding Kiri. You were aware that this phone call was recorded.
No, I wasn't even on that call.
You weren't on the call, but you were aware that it was recorded.
After the fact, yes.
During the fact.
No, after the fact. I did not know it had been recorded until a while later, when Dead Kennedy in Space said that he had recorded it, and Punchy asked for a copy of it. And that was the first I had heard it had been recorded.
So you had never asked Dead Kennedy in Space to record that call?
No.
Had you asked him to have that conversation?
Yes.
Okay. That makes a lot of sense. That makes a lot of sense.
But I did
I
not
just
ask him to record it because I never
okay.
heard it. If I wanted him to record it, I would have asked for it. Never once asked for it. I've never heard the call.
Yeah. On to the doxing, because there are still people, and this is kind of one of the reasons, selfish reason, why I wanted to have this conversation. Nowhere in my video did I actually threaten to dox you. And I made that very, 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 very clear after the fact. And I'm big enough to say I should have worded it differently. And I am sorry for that. I should have worded it differently. I was angry. You know the situation surrounding that. We had a conversation. We talked about that.
Yeah.
The docs threat. Yeah, I'm not bringing it up. The docs threat itself. When you had several times accidentally doxed yourself, because I've seen the clips, in the moment that my video came out, were you genuinely scared of being doxed?
Yes. I mean, I had said my first name, Kim, but I had never fully said any other information. And because I had emailed you from my work email, which had, I mean, given I emailed you from my work email, it was convenient in the moment when you needed something, right?
Mm-hmm.
But it had, my real name, where I worked, phone numbers, that information on it. And so in that moment, yeah, because I can say my name is Kim till the cows come home, but
It doesn't mean nothing.
there's no, it's a common name.
Yeah.
So, those situations where I had slipped up, like on Barman's channel, and I had slipped up and said Kim instead of Ilya when I was going in, for his quiz show. It is what it is, but I didn't say my full name or give out detailed information where people could just easily find me either. So when I heard your video,
yeah, go on.
When I heard your video, it did feel a little bit threatening in that regard. I understand now, and we've talked about it, your intent was vastly different. I'm just telling you how it felt in that moment to me.
Right. Following on from that, there was something that I wanted to add. There's a lot that I'm trying to organize my thoughts here, because this is as hard for me as it is for you. Believe me.
And I don't expect people to believe me. I understand, I understand why you wouldn't, and I don't blame you for that. I'm not reading the chat right now.
No,
I'm
no.
only on StreamYard.
Yeah. What we're talking about is more important. What we're talking about here is more important.
I don't expect anybody to trust me or believe me, but I'm here.
Well,
and I'm trying to apologize for what I've done.
Yeah, and this is why these questions have to be asked.
Yes.
The big thing for me was, and I hate to say it, you kind of made it easy for me, because one of the big things that you were saying in your video was, I was making it painfully obvious that there was an issue, according to your video, and that you were behaving in a way you were keeping quiet. And in the same sentence, you also said, but you were talking to people behind the scenes. Now, I know for a fact, because I've seen emails, I know for a fact that you were talking to numerous different people. And you opened with the line, well, Crafty's video was about me.
Yeah.
So I know for a fact that you were talking to people.
I talked to people behind the scenes, but I wasn't speaking publicly. Yes.
Yeah. Because that raises questions as to how many people that you've done this similar things to. where you will go in and you will poison the well and you will make this accusation against people. And because you get there first, it just shuts them down completely. Do you know what I mean?
I know what you mean, yeah.
Because what seems to have happened was there was a buffer zone around you. And here's the thing. I said to you when we first talked, I can't stand the dogpiling.
Right.
Can't stand it. Can't stand it. These people who are now acting the victim when they were part of the bullshit itself. You know, and they did worse. Well, to an extent. I'm not, like, to be honest with you, it doesn't get much worse than claiming that you have cancer. But these were the people who created a buffer zone around you to make you feel confident enough to make that claim without being questioned. Big question that was not really asked of Sean Hufford, and I'm going to ask it of you. If it hadn't been for Unirock's crew constantly asking for a receipt, if it hadn't been for Nate talking to you and getting the truth, big question, would you have ever respected people in this community enough to tell them the fucking truth?
I don't know. I think a part of me would have wanted to because it's the right thing to do, and another part of me, out of fear, might have held myself back from doing it. That's probably about as honest as I can get to that question. I mean, I could feed you guys rainbows and unicorns and say, oh, yes, I'm sure I would have. But at the end of the day, I do have a conscience. I understand right from wrong. And when I do wrong, it does bother me. But also with that comes the anxiety and the fear and everything else. And I don't know I don't know that my guilt would have been bigger than my fear.
And so that leads me to the question: when Reds and FTFE came to you, because they're definitely not getting out of this fucking clean nosed. I'm going to be honest, particularly Reds. No matter how innocent he claims he is, no matter what, there's always going to be people there when it comes to Reds asking him questions. When you were having the discussion with Reds and FTFE, I really don't understand what happened there, because you had an opportunity to say, look, lads, I know this has happened with Sean. I'm not going to go through all of the bullshit of trying to pretend. Why weren't you honest with FTFE and Reds on that phone call instead of, I can't get into screen share, and then mysteriously screen share is working? Why weren't you just honest with them at that point?
Fear. I mean, I was scared to death. What I had done was so bad and so awful. I was terrified. I was terrified of a multitude of things. One, the fear of just completely being hated, which is probably the case regardless. And two, I just, at the time, wasn't, I don't know. I just didn't feel like I could handle it. Maybe. I don't know. But I know fear was a big thing. I was terrified to do anything.
But then why put out the statement in the first place? Like The receipt.
I
Why
just
make that up? Why send that out at all if you were so afraid of being caught?
I wanted it to go away. And I thought, well, maybe if I do this, it'll satisfy people to leave me alone. It wasn't
Knowing, but
very well thought out. It was a very poor decision. And I mean, that's just the truth.
because here's the big issue, and what a lot of people are talking about right now, and I know whatever and whatever. But a lot of people in this community are now, because of what has happened, their guards are up. They can't trust anyone. They can't trust the creators because half of the creators have either lied to them or, well, not half of them, but because of what has happened here,
Yeah.
nobody trusts anyone anymore.
Yeah.
And what's even worse is there are people in this community who genuinely need help.
Yes.
And you and Sean and others like you, and again, this is not trying to attack you. It makes it so much harder for anyone who genuinely has cancer to come forward. Like OPT lawyer has stage 4 colon cancer right now. He's going
Yeah.
through that right now, and he's doing blogs on it so that people can actually see what it's like.
Yeah.
But unless he does that, nobody's going to believe him.
I am very sorry for what I did and how it has now done that to everybody.
And here's what I'm scared of. I'm going to be very, very honest with you. Like, what I'm afraid of is that without serious consequences, on the surface level, you feel like what you've done is wrong and you understand what has happened.
Yeah.
But in 6 months' time, what's to stop you going into another community and doing the exact same thing? And this is ultimately a lot of people's fear, that you're just going to disappear now, and in 6 months' time you're going to get bored and go into another community and pull the same thing. That's my ultimate fear.
Right. Well, I mean, all I can tell you is that I'm not. Um, I have serious consequences to this. There's a reason I've hired a lawyer, and there's a reason that, I mean, there is a lot going on behind the scenes that I can't divulge, unfortunately. And what I can talk about, I've talked about. Um, my lawyer has all of my documentation and all of my medical records, and all I can tell you for sure is that I do actually have a proper diagnosis now, and they are fixing my medications. And I know that people are like, that's not an excuse, but when you're being fed medicine for a diagnosis that you have that is a wrong diagnosis, and that medicine does not work for what you actually have going on, it has opposite effects. And I've been on wrong medication for 2.5 years. This is 2.5 years of me spiraling downward and downward and downward and downward and downward. I hit rock bottom already. And I'm fighting with everything in me right now, going to my therapy sessions, seeing my psychotherapist, and doing what I have to do and doing my due diligence to get better.
Mm-hmm.
I also have people now in my real life physically here with me, where I'm not joining communities. I don't even have a desire to do that. We're doing real life together. And there's honesty there and they know what's going on. So I don't feel a need to belong anywhere anymore. I feel a need to heal and to grow, because I might be 40, but it's never too late to turn around and do the right thing and to fight for yourself to get better. And I know and I understand the anger. I'm not mad at anybody. And I respect everybody's right to be angry with me and not believe me. And
Mm-hmm.
I get that. But if you know anything about mental health and you know anything about how medications can work and what they can do, then I ask you for just a small bit of understanding that I am fighting right now to fix me. I have to. I can't continue living like this. I can't continuing having 2020 on repeat. I can't do it. It is a slow suicide to be that depressed and to have this feeling of needing to do things for attention or to avoid things. It is not a fun place to be. Believe me. And if I could do so many things over again, I would. There are so many things I would do differently and I would handle differently, but I can't.
Well, here's what I'm gonna say. Here's what I'm gonna say, because I know you. I don't want people getting upset. I really don't. The time for that is gone. Long, long gone. I don't want you hurting yourself. I really don't. I don't hate you. I hate what you did. I hate what you said. I hate how you acted, but I don't hate you. And I genuinely hope, for your sake, that you get help. And here's why. Because, like what I said back in September, if you continue down this road, and if you are allowed to continue down this road, you are going to say or do something that you can't take back.
Yep.
And it is going to get you killed. And you need to understand that. And I don't think, on the surface level, yeah, it's there. But I don't think it's reaching below those surface levels.
I
The
appreciate your I appreciate your honesty.
This is what I'm worried about. And I'm going to be very honest. I don't want you hurting yourself. I don't want to see anything bad happen to you. But at the same time, mental illness is not an excuse for what has happened here.
I agree.
Because I've been very, very outspoken with my bipolar. I have
Yeah.
bipolar too, so I don't get as manic as bi one. But mental illness does not justify what has happened.
No,
And
I
I
agree.
understand that you're trying to explain to people, give them a bit of context, but there are thousands upon thousands upon thousands who have had mental health issues worse than both of us, and they have never claimed something like cancer.
I completely agree. I don't think it's an excuse. Um, you're right. I was trying to explain for context, not to excuse my behavior. What I did was wrong. Um, it is reaching deeper than surface level. I'm also really nervous right now.
Yep.
So I mean, I don't know what the tone sounds like, but I'm very nervous right now and trying to keep myself in check because I didn't want to be super emotional during this. I wanted to just be, you know,
Straight up.
straightforward.
Yeah.
Yeah, and have the conversation. Um and I fully understand that I don't have control over what people feel or believe. And I don't expect people to feel or believe any differently than they do now. I've given you no reason to believe me. And you're justified in not. All I can do is come on here, answer the questions, and share what I can. That's all I can do.
Hmm.
And
And
I'm
it takes a lot. It takes a lot to do that.
I'm trying. I probably could have gone on to other platforms. I probably could have done a multitude of things. But right now, I feel like the only way for closure to happen is for you and I to come together, lay down our swords, and have a real, genuine conversation about this. And that's
Yeah.
why I agreed to come on with you.
Yeah, and I appreciate that. And as I said in the beginning, it wasn't going to be an easy ride. There is so many things that I could ask, but to be honest with you, a lot of it is irrelevant. I wanted for you to get the opportunity to address the community, explain from your perspective what happened and why. And again, I can't force you to tell the truth. I can't force you to lie. I can't force them to believe what you're saying. I can't. Do you know what I mean? I can just open the door for this conversation.
Yes. And
Um.
I do appreciate it. I'm not taking it for granted. What I have said today has been honest, whether anyone's liked it or not.
Yeah.
And I I'm done lying. I'm done with the chasing around things. I'm done with all of that. All I want to do now is focus forward and get my mental health, which it's now on the right path. I was diagnosed with bipolar 1 through a system of evaluations and everything else. I will say this, my lawyer is legitimate, and I already know someone has called him to validate that, because he told me. um, he actually scolded me a little bit and said, I don't want all these calls coming to my office. And I'm like, I'm sorry.
Well, unfortunately, like in fairness, he decided to take on the case. It was
Yeah.
always going to happen. We were always going to follow up and make sure that it was legit.
Yeah. And so it's legitimate. He actually has all of my medical records and my medical documentation about my journey and what's been going on. That's one of the reasons he did take my case. Is even a lawyer can sometimes have empathy if they can see the full picture, right?
Mm-hmm.
So he has a different perspective because he has seen the full picture. He has seen literally everything. And so he has a little bit of empathy because he understands. Um, I think a lot of times we forget that, you know, people do have hard times, and in those hard times they make horrible decisions, some worse than others. We've got people who choose to hurt other people and in a physical way, and then there are people who do things like I did, and neither of them are right. um I want to say again, and it's completely everybody's decision to accept it or not, but I am genuinely sorry. I am sorry. I wish I could right every wrong, but the only thing I can do is be honest, talk about it, and apologize. I'm sorry for what I did. I'm sorry for betraying your trust. I'm sorry for lying. I'm sorry for the harm it has caused to the community hereafter for people who do need help. I'm sorry for everything that I did that has harmed individuals in this community.
Well, quick question. Quick question. Because Exile brings up an interesting point. Just out of curiosity, the phone call that you were on with Reds and Fight, they said that you called the cancer group, the hospital. Who did you actually call?
I called one of my friends.
And see, this is what worries me, because it's the level of planning. When you called one of your friends, what made them agree to pretend to be a cancer center?
I I don't know why they agreed, honestly, but they did. I just asked them if there wasn't any planning ahead of time. It was literally in the moment. They said, "Well, why don't you just call them?" And I said, "Okay." And literally at that time, my boss called, so I had to hang up. And that was legitimate. It was not an excuse. My boss legitimately called. When my boss called and we hung up, I thought, "Oh gosh, before I call Reds back, I need to figure out what am I going to do? Who am I going to call?" So then I reached out to a friend who I'm not going to name, because it's at the end of the day, they aren't a part of this community, never have been. It's not anyone that you guys would know or need to know.
Okay.
Um, I called them up and said, "Hey, can you do this?" And they were like, "Well, I hope my kids are quiet." And she said, "Well, I'll go into a bathroom." And I said, "Okay." And then I literally called Reds back and then called them, and they answered their phone that way. They answered the questions, and then we hung up. I can't get more honest than that. That's what happened.
Okay.
But they are not and never were a part of this community. This is someone I've known since childhood from school, so it's not anyone that y'all need to be concerned about. They're not a part of this community. Never were.
The last thing I want to ask about, and we did talk about it a little bit when we were talking last week, is the sit down with the bunkers.
Mm-hmm.
Going back to July, there was, on 3 occasions, over 3,000 people in the chat.
Mm-hmm.
There wasn't really 3,000 people watching that stream, watching any of those streams.
Well,
and we both know it.
I know that now, yes.
You knew it then. Let's be honest. You knew it then. Because there are people in the stream who said, we knew it then, because there was 100 people in the chat the last week, and there was only 20 people talking. So, I mean, we can't not know. We can't not know. And this has to be talked about, because there are issues surrounding where the money went.
Can you hang on 2 seconds real quick?
Go ahead.
Sorry. Okay, let's go on. I had my roommate was checking on me.
Okay.
He knew I was doing this tonight, so he was just worried about me. I wanted to make sure I'm okay.
It's good that you have someone there.
Yeah, I do.
The views and the subs that were happening, and here's what a lot of people after the fact couldn't understand, was there were about 20 people in the chat for Sit Down with the Bunkers, and yet apparently there was 3,000 people watching, and yet you went up to 4,000 in the snap of the fingers. Every time it was seen to that, and this is coming from members of Sit Down with the Bunkers as well, that there was money exchanged in the background between yourself and other members, and when that money would happen, was exchanged, all of a sudden there were super chats on other people's channels, there was memberships bought, there was suddenly a boost in members, in subscribers, and suddenly a boost in views.
Okay.
I'm not saying that was all you. I think it was a few of you. But there were subs bought for that channel. There were views bought for that channel.
Oh, I'm sure of it. I'm sure of it. Did are you asking me outright if I did it?
Were you involved in that?
I was involved in one. Yes. There were a lot of times though that things like that would happen and I have no involvement in it at all. Who was doing it, I don't know. But at this point I would just say it if I was.
I would hope so.
Yeah, I mean, I would just tell you the truth at this point. I don't have any other reason to.
Yeah, there's no point.
No.
Because that's the thing. In every so often, there was in one of the streams, and it only happened about 4 times. There was over 3,000 people in the chat, but not one extra person was participating in the chat.
Well, and funny enough, 1 or 2 of those times I wasn't even there. So, I mean, I don't know who was doing all of that. But I can tell you with certainty it was not all me by any means.
Yeah, no, I did have to ask. I did have to ask
No,
because
totally fair. It's totally fair. Totally fair. I'm not upset about it. But
it
people
just seemed it just seemed very suspicious.
Oh, I completely concur. Never once did I not think it was suspicious. As a matter of fact, we as a channel had to talk about it being suspicious. So that's not anything that's new to me talking about understanding that it's suspicious for sure.
The next thing I just want to ask real quick is there was apparent conversations between yourself and other people back in December to say that you had been diagnosed with cancer again in December. I think it was December, January.
It wasn't January, no. And the only person I told was Punchy. But what they had found was a lump that's legitimate. Based on the way it looked, it could have been cancerous, but then it biopsied and found out it wasn't cancer.
Okay. So when you told Punchy in December that you had been diagnosed with cancer, and if something happened, whatever, that wasn't completely true.
No, I told him that before I got the biopsy results when I was worried it was cancer because of what the doctor had told me based on what it looked like in the scan.
Okay. It was just, no, that was something that was just niggling away there. It kind of popped into my head. I was like, wait.
Yeah. And then I did tell him that.
Okay.
But I didn't go and talk about it publicly or with a multitude of people.
Originally, when the thing was set, originally, from what I remember, the original target was $2,500. And then it went up to $4,000, and then it went up to $6,000. What was the reason for those increases?
Well, initially the reason for the increase was to go from 2,500 to 4,000 is because more people were wanting to donate, and you have to raise your cap after so long. And then the third one, I think, was for similar reasons.
Okay.
Yeah, I think both were for similar reasons because once you meet your threshold, you have to raise your cap if people are still trying to donate and stuff.
But that's what I don't understand. When you knew you weren't telling the truth about this, why did you increase the cap instead of saying, no, look, I have enough? Like,
I was afraid. And I mean, you're right. It was never about the money. It was just,
so why
I,
raise it?
I don't know. I did it to keep the, I guess, the charade going.
And so the big question then, what did, if it wasn't about the money, which I don't believe it was, what was done with that money?
Oh, well, I did pay back medical bills. The recording of me actually pulling up my bank account and downloading transactions was legitimate. That can't be faked. But it just wasn't on what I said it was going to be.
All right. Like again, there's a lot that we've gone through, and it's now 1:45, so we've been talking for we've been talking for an hour and a half. I want to give you an opportunity to say anything else that you want to say to people, because again, I appreciate you being here, but this is your chance to talk to the community who are here. If you want to make any other statements or any other comments.
The only other thing I would say is that I'm very sorry again. Um, I would, I would change everything if I could. Um, I do have a conscience. It's not that I just do these things and sit back and laugh and don't feel bad about it. I do. I feel genuinely bad. Um, I'm sorry. I'm so sorry to everybody I hurt. I'm so sorry for lying. I am so sorry for hurting people and for hurting the community. I'm sorry. I I can't apologize enough. And yes, I made financial restitution, but there's never going to be anything I can say or do that will right all of my wrongs except for apologizing and giving the money back. That's all I can do at this point, and that's what I'm trying to do.
Mm-hmm.
I don't like who I was. I don't ever want to be Ilya Moon again. Ever. That's not me. I got caught in this whirlwind of feeling this attention and the support.
You're roboting there a little bit.
Huh?
You're roboting there.
Yeah, you're roboting too. I wonder why I'm roboting.
I don't know if it's you or me. Chat, tell me who it
Let's
is.
see.
Is it?
Is that better?
Yes.
Okay, good. My phone was switching data to Wi-Fi for some reason. So anyway, I am very sorry again.
And it's gone back to robot.
It is gone back to roboting.
She'll be back, folks. She'll be back. Grand, as long as my connection is clear, that makes me happy. Like I said, I can only give her the opportunity to make the statements. I can't force her to be honest. I can't force her to give us the answers that we need. And I promised her I'd be fair. And so it is up to you. I'm not going to tell you whether or not to believe her. That's not for me to do. For me, it was about getting her on, about asking the questions, and you then decide what you want to take out of it. You get to decide whether you agree, whether you disagree. And yeah, I mean, we'll see if she comes back on, and I hope she does, to get the last of her say. And then I'll go through super chats, and I might get a few people on if anyone wants to come on, give their take. DM me on Discord, for those of you who have me on Discord, or craftykeela@gmail.com, and we'll have a little chat. This has been as difficult for me as it has been for you guys. I can't even explain how hard this has been. So if anyone feels up to coming on, give me a shout on Discord or on Gmail, and we'll have a little chat, because this is about you guys getting your chance as well. She didn't have to come on. I will say that. She did not have to come on. She made that decision to come on, so I'll give her that. Great. There's a few people that might want to come on and have a bit of a chat. So bear with me, and I send out a few links. God, thank you guys for staying with me. Reading the chat kind of helped get through all this bullshit. So people who have asked to come in, you have a link. By all means, jump in and we will have a discussion. But like I said, she didn't have to come in. And that was important for her to do. It was important for me to hear from her. It was important for the community to hear. So while I'm waiting for a few people, I'm getting used to this, guys. I'm getting used to this. Christ almighty. But let me just refresh this and go through some of the super chats while I'm waiting for people to jump in. But this has been a challenging night for everyone, and I appreciate that there are people who are upset, and there's never going to be enough questions that are, you're never going to get the answers that you need. So Jessica G for $2 says, typical misdirection, ignores Franklin's existence. Oh, we have people. We have a boop. We have a literature hater. Tony.
Again, not all of it. Only the words.
We have a tusk.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah. We know. You hate literature. It's okay. It's okay.
Yeah.
Tusk, what's the crack?
How are you?
I'm just going to fly through some of the super chats, and then we'll get into a little chat. Augustus Gem for $10 says, thank you for this, Crafty. I'm sorry for what you've been through with all of this. I'm not the only one. That's the problem. JL Warren for $1.99. It's not about money. It's about sending a message. And absolutely. And at the time, she really did send that message. Jessica G, $2 US. Ilya, can you confirm that Franklin is alive and well? No, she cannot. Because Franklin doesn't exist. Oh, we have another boop. Oh, we have Johnny O. Hello, Johnny.
Hey.
Let me just get through these super chats real quick. It won't be a Team Skeptic 15-hour live stream, but we'll get through them. And actually, yours is the next one. Johnny O from the plot hole says, let's try an easy one. Which way is up? Yeah. Nerd Angle for $4.99 says, is her lawyer and or therapist aware that she is doing this tonight? If so, she may want to get references for new ones. Also, who is Kim Bok? Look, again, you're never going to get all the answers that we want, but it was important for us to do that, either to give her enough space, rope to hang herself, or just to hear from her, just the fact that she was willing to do it. So, Jessica G says for $5, it's the prisoner's dilemma, Keela. When a person has to speak out, first hoping the other inmate doesn't say a word, the other person has to defend. Exiled for £10 says, Crafty, will you please ask him if she will contact me privately? I have a question for her that concerns my online safety. It will not take much time. Happy to speak through an attorney if necessary. Exiled, definitely email me. I will send your email on just in case she doesn't have it or deleted it. And I will encourage her to reach out. Exiled again for £5 says, who helped you fake the call to the cancer center? So I did ask that. And we'll get into that now in a minute. Atheist Miracle for $2 says, did she get threats in 2020? Moon story, I'm a craze. I doubt it. And if she did, half of those sock accounts was linked actually back to her. TT for $3.99 says, which friend did you call? She says it was a friend that wasn't in this community, so we shall see, or not. JL Warren for $1.99 says, so it's a targeted conspiracy to commit fraud. Lads, make of that what ye will. That was me giving you as much as you needed. Where am I? Atheist Miracle says, why confess to Nate first and not Reds? She didn't confess to Nate. Nate told her that it was going to the guards, or the police. So the authority, he actually used the words, the authorities were now getting involved. Jail Warren says for $1.99, I'm not saying it was drugs, but it was drugs. Yeah. Jail Warren for another $4.99 says, lied, cheated, stole, conspired, defrauded, but please be fair. I think I was fair.
No. I think he's commenting on Ilya Moon's request and need to be fair.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that was my offer.
No. I think it was Ilya Moon saying, hey, look, I did all this shit, but don't beat me up too bad. Be fair.
Jail Warren for $1.99 says, greed. Yeah. Microraptor for 50 secs, thank you, has no message. A few more. TT for $4.99 says, could you please clarify about the son thing? Why lie and tell people that the person was your son when it's been proven not? Yeah. Angel Gamer for $20 thank you so much, Angel. Says, Crafty, so much respect for you. Great job of being fair, even though you have been hurt by this person's lies, scams, rumors, etc. I know that once Kim has finished digging her hole deeper, you might have more to say. Oh, I have stuff to say. $4.99 Nerd Angle says, you were the bigger person than I'd have been. And Stuart Bunn says, for 50 Aussie dollars. Ooh. You've done a great job. Thanks for doing this. Yeah, so I'm going to leave it there. And if any others come in, then we'll have a look at them in a little while. But I want to get your opinion on what we've just heard.
First of all, can I offer my legal opinion?
Yes, please.
Ilya, you just implicated your friend in fraud and a conspiracy to commit fraud. If you have a lawyer, which I doubt, you need to get a new lawyer now. And that's speaking as a lawyer. If you've got a lawyer, then this is under investigation, which means it's sub judice, which means it's under judicial review. So to speak about it at all would leave you open to prosecution, but you've just implicated your friend in a conspiracy to fraud. That's unforgivable.
Well, and anything she says here in a public forum obviously isn't privileged, and doesn't get to be.
Yeah, no. The law changed a couple of years ago about what was said in public couldn't be presented in court, but due to the prevalence of social media, the law changed. and what you say on social media can now be presented as evidence against you in court.
So, I would argue that Ilya's lawyer would not be happy with, Kim's lawyer would not be happy with Kim appearing
Well, absolutely
on this stream. I have to say that to some extent one has to sort of respect her willingness to do this. But if she's been diagnosed as bipolar, I would suggest also that she needs to get a better diagnosis, because to me, the unifying pattern of everything that Ilya did was that it got her attention and it got her sympathy. You look at every single step in this, it was an escalation to get, to sort of overpower people who weren't giving her attention and weren't giving her sympathy. So she would escalate the lie. She'd take another step to sort of to bring it up, and it stepped up through various grades before getting to cancer. And her confidence in dealing with, in talking with Nate, in talking with Reds, in talking with FTFE, in coming here, her confidence suggests that she, that's not consistent for me with social anxiety. That's consistent with somebody who believes that they are significantly smarter than pretty much anyone they're talking to, and that they can weave an impromptu story that is going to be plausible and is going to paint them in the best possible light.
What it points to is a narcissistic disorder.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, where GL Warren made a point earlier where what hurts most is not that she lied, but that we weren't deserving of the truth.
Yeah, there was certainly an element of that. And
the idea that she can spin this narrative and we're supposed to swallow it wholesale without question is very indicative of a narcissistic personality disorder, a malignant narcissistic personality disorder.
Yeah, and that can be very damaging to her and the people around her, and so she needs to my mind, and admittedly I'm not a mental health professional, so you should interpret what I'm saying through that lens. But it seems I don't think the bipolar disorder is what's to blame here.
No, that's absolutely not. That's
a fucking manipulation. That is another manipulation.
I do suffer from PTSD, combat stress-related PTSD, and as part of my therapy, I actually did do a professional therapist course, so I can recognise the symptoms of PTSD, but I don't recognise any of those symptoms. And if the reasoning, from what I could tell from what she said, was her child dying, which is still in question. I don't want to call her out on that because, again, that's a terrible thing to accuse someone of lying about.
So is cancer, mind you.
I know. But everything she said and the way she delivered it with a confidence and an arrogance that was breathtaking, frankly, points to a malignant narcissistic disorder. It's not borderline personality disorder, and it's not PTSD, because people with PTSD do not confront their PTSD in that way. And I'm saying that as someone who suffers from PTSD. We invent a new reality where we're the hero or we are something else to avoid confronting it. What we don't do is create a narrative where we're both the hero and the victim, which is what she did tonight. And anybody who has had any experience with people with PTSD will know that this is not typical of the disorder at all.
Yeah, and as I said, I have bipolar, and that's why I did have to come back in on her and say that's not. Like, I have bipolar. There's many people that have bipolar. There's many people that have mental health issues, and we have never claimed that we have cancer.
Yeah.
You know,
I do have.
Seems-
Sorry. Go ahead.
I was going to say everything that came out of her mouth was bullshit. Everything. The only thing that she didn't lie about, and I'm still not convinced, was her fucking name.
Oh, that's the one thing we can verify. That is actually her name.
Right.
But that's it.
Everything
That's
that came out of her mouth was just another form of manipulation.
Yeah.
Oh, well, I've got mental health issues. You know what, bitch? There are so many people who have mental health issues that don't go around saying, "Hey, I've got cancer. Give me money."
Well, I was.
Oh, well, we only raised the amount because it wasn't about the money. We only raised the amount because more people wanted to donate. Fuck you. If it wasn't about the money, hey, we met the goal. Let's just leave it at that. Bullshit. It was about the money.
Fundraiser. Yeah, just end it.
I don't see. Here's the thing. I don't think it was about the money for me.
Maybe
anyway.
it didn't start that way. Maybe it didn't start that way.
It was never about the money.
Yeah.
And here's the thing: we have to make a very clear distinction between what happened with Sean Hufford and what happened with Kim. Sean Hufford never set out to defraud anybody. It went wrong.
I don't believe so, yeah.
And he fucked it up. He made a mess of it. He should have come out way back and admitted it. Kim set out to emotionally manipulate people and take what she could get.
Yeah.
And the money was just gravy. The money didn't matter to her.
Yeah,
the fact that she got money was good, but it was all about being the center of attention, that narcissistic need for love and respect, and her ability to set her attack dogs on people.
Yeah, exactly. I was about to add that, and then you added it for me, so I don't know why I was trying to butt in there. Yeah. What Tusk said, ditto.
I've seen this trait in people so many times, where they'll literally say and do anything, and they're so narcissistic that they don't understand that we talk to one another. What you said to me, I will share with person B, and person B will share with me. So when the story conflicts, it's obvious, but then they invent a new narrative where I've misunderstood. I mean, how many times tonight did you say, "Oh, no, that wasn't what I said. This person misconstrued it."
Yeah.
So it's not our fault that we thought this was sorry, it's not your fault that we thought this was your child that died. It's our fault for misunderstanding what you said. We got the wrong child.
Yeah, that's one thing I wanted to point out. One thing I really wanted to point out was the fact that it was never what she did. It was something that we did wrong. Or, well, you guys must have misunderstood what I said. No, bitch, you fucking lied to us. And I don't generally throw that term around, and I don't generally get so animated and angry, but this person really pissed me off. Because
I did notice that, Johnny. You were going.
Yeah.
So was I.
Look, I wasn't. Look, I didn't expect to get what I wanted out of it, and even when I did say about the phone call and whether or not she had the audio and stuff like that, she did basically confirm what was said. It was said by two other people. Why are you lying about this? And although she didn't say it exactly, she said it.
Mm-hmm.
She laid those accusations at my door. There was no mention of Dick. She laid those in that phone call when she ambushed Amy. She laid those accusations at my door, wanting a reaction, and she got it. She did get it.
I'd like to sort of make a point here, and it's a sort of technical one, but if you listen to how she went about and she was apologizing, I'm sorry that happened to you.
Mm-hmm.
And it was never, I'm sorry I did this. I'm sorry that I had this negative impact on you. I am sorry for what I did. I did something bad. It was always, I'm sorry that happened to you, as though that which happened to other people was somehow not her fault or somehow not a result of her actions. And if you're talking with somebody who is couching their apologies in that, then they're not actually accepting their responsibility. They're not actually accepting their involvement in what occurred. And it goes back to sort of what Tusk was saying about sort of and what Johnny was saying about the lack of sincerity, because that's how she started the evening. She came on and she said these things. But, she wasn't, to my mind, phrasing this in a way consistent with somebody who was accepting responsibility for for their actions and for what their involvement in what had occurred. How did it strike everybody else?
We got an apology, not an I-apology.
Yep.
I'm sorry if you felt this. I'm sorry if that's happened. Never, I'm sorry I did this.
Yep.
The simplest thing, the easiest thing for her to do if she really were sorry about everything is to come on here and say, hey, everybody, I fucking lied to you. I'm a piece of shit. I lied to you about having cancer. I lied to you about this. I tried to manipulate all of you. This is all on me. I'm sorry. But none of that happened.
Do you know what, John? See if she had actually come out and said that. Now, there's been a time, I'm assuming in all our lives, where we've had to eat crow and say, look, that's on me. I tried to rip you off. I fucked up. I'm sorry. That
right.
If she just come out and said that,
Yeah. Two things. First of all, there's a £50 super chat from David Oliver saying, good night, everybody. I'm on meds to get my gums and swollen jaw and cheek. And get the pain under control. Take care, everybody. I think I'm getting better now. I'm on antibiotics and had a wisdom tooth removed on the Saturday, 1st of May. Yeah. The other thing is I have just heard from Jessica G. She has asked me to read out a statement because she's streaming something at the moment. She can't actually be on stream, unfortunately. Otherwise, she would have been the first person I brought in. She says, I can firmly say that I 100% believe that Ilya Moon did not do this for the money. It was misdirection. It was used to protect the lie. Had she not allowed her friends to rally around and help with the fundraiser, they would have caught on to the lie. If she didn't take the money, they would have started losing trust. Here's our friend who has cancer and isn't willing to accept help. Obviously, she's lying. However, if she did take the money, she had to, in order to convince her friends. She knew nobody else she burned would believe her anyway. It was about protecting her ego and friends that helped with her ego. It was a lie created specifically to avoid answering to the Crafty Keela video. Thank you, Jess. And yeah, a lot of it was. Yeah. A lot of it was not, and she did admit that. She didn't want to answer my video because it was so detailed. It was over an hour, so anyone that's actually fucking watched that video, fair play. And
I have seen it twice.
Yeah, so have I.
I've seen it 3 times.
Well, these are all fucking mental.
Actually, I saw it the first time. Hang on a second. I saw it the first time you showed it to me before you released it, and then I watched it when you released it.
Yeah. Well, so the reason why I made that video and the reason why I brought it up was because I did feel that there was a pattern of behavior there. I saw the pattern that was coming down the line. And she had demanded in her little hate boner live stream after her video that I provide proof. Now, I don't mind stepping up to a challenge. Anyone that knows me knows that I don't back down to anything. If I feel that the stakes are high enough, I'll come out fighting. Don't care how much it takes out of me, I will come out fighting.
Did anyone else hear that tone when she said no? Anyone else get like that little cringe of, whoa, shit, watch out, here comes the rock or something?
Yeah.
I can be very stubborn. Now, in my original video,
No.
it's like I paid you to do this. Like, no, not at all. But I have no problem admitting that I can be stubborn. And the original video should have been worded better. And I apologize that it wasn't. It was done out of anger. It was done out of hurt. But it was done. I stuck with what I said. And let's remember, there's another person in all of this who hasn't been talked about, which is Cheshire Vic. And what Cheshire Vic did was she made a video throughout the whole point of the video, which was the repetitive behavior. And like, that was the whole point of the video. And so the likes of Cheshire, the likes of Glober Mom, the likes of Punchy, the likes of Quiddies was creating this circle around her that was impenetrable. Because Cheshire Vic, for those of you who don't know, is a professional troll. She is a professional troll. That's literally all her channel is about, is attacking people viciously. Whether it be on Twitter, whether it be on YouTube, that is literally all she does. And so these people, while we're over here looking at Ilya, these people are still in the community. And up until a few days ago, one of those individuals was still claiming that I was lying about them.
Yeah, I see. Oh dear. I'm not going to apologise for what I'm about to say because I frankly don't give a fuck. Why does anybody in this community pay the slightest bit of fucking attention to Cheshire Vic? She has absolutely nothing to say that isn't spiteful and hateful and frankly manufactured. She makes shit up to have a go at people for. And if that's not good enough, she makes more shit up. But somehow she's getting this attention and I don't understand it.
I'll tell you what it is. I'll tell you exactly what it is. It's the quasi-cute face.
Well, I do have a
is.
nickname for her, which is probably a little unkind, which I won't mention here. But it sounds a lot like Chest for Hire Vic. And
Yeah, let's not get into that shit.
I frankly don't understand why anybody pays any attention to her. She has nothing to say.
Well, getting back to Ilya, Geza the Master Reviewer for $4.99 says, classic narcissistic manipulator. Yeah. She's sorry she got caught out, not sorry for what she did. I don't think anybody can ever trust her again. Probably not. But the whole point of tonight, to be honest with you, was to let her talk.
Yeah.
Was to let her talk.
Yeah,
I wanted her to talk. She talked. And people can make up, I believe that people are smart enough to make up their own decision.
Yeah.
It's a shame that she was given this platform and once again abused it.
Well, no, I actually take a very different view. This evening we all got to see her, right? We all got to see her in real time, and she had two options, right? She could either come out and make amends. She could come out and start the healing process, or she could, dig herself deeper. And there were a lot of people who were very angry in the chat and were calling her out. And Johnny was one, Kiri was another, and I perfectly understand that. But basically, she came out in front of the entire community and pulled her pants down, like we all saw what was going on. And I know Skydiver Tanner has pointed out sort of one of the verbal tics she has that he picked up on. But there were so many ways to recognize that she was lying and manipulating and dodging and weaving. And it was I am well, let's just do a quick poll in the chat. Put a 1 if you think that Kim was completely honest and forthright, or a 2 if you have grave reservations about how truthful she was during this discussion.
PhD Tony, do you know what the most obvious tick that she had when she was lying? When she was fucking talking.
Well,
she did say one true thing. She did admit to doing something for the attention. That was true.
There's something we're taught as potential prosecution lawyers. There's a massive give when someone's lying, and that's the preface their sentence with, now I know you're going to think I'm lying,
Yeah.
or I don't expect you to believe me, or I know this is going to sound far-fetched. That's a massive give. As soon as someone says that, you know they're lying.
Yeah. Webard for I'm not a cat. For €5 says, if she's coming back, ask her if she used other people's stock accounts because she only said she didn't create them. Sorry, Webard. She had at least 14.
Well,
Yeah, at
that's a good
least.
point Weber brings up there, because a lot of people are getting a free pass for their behaviour and simping for Ilya and setting up fake accounts for her, fake emails, fake YouTube accounts.
Yeah.
And we might never get to the bottom of this, but there are people who are probably quite worried that she's going to either throw them under the bus or their part in this is going to come out.
Mm-hmm.
Can I also want to ask. I also want to ask the people here and people in the chat the same a related question. You're sitting at home. A friend comes up and says, "I need you to pretend to be a receptionist at a cancer clinic. Here's the name. You might want to write this down because I'm about to call you up, and you need to give that as you're answering the phone. And then I'm going to ask for my patient records, and you need to get them for me. Somebody else will be listening in on the call, so I need this to go smoothly. How many of you would just go, okay,
fuck off,
no dramas?
No, absolutely.
A one if your answer is yep, I'll just do this, no questions asked, and a 2 if a 2 if you would say no, I'm not actually happy to do that, but anyway.
Yeah, I mean, I guess we've all done this to get out of like a family commitment. You call your friend and say, look, I'm going to call you in 10 minutes time, just play along, you know?
Yeah, but I mean,
that's one
that
thing.
level of playing along was so deep as to what Craig was saying.
I mean, I don't know who this friend was. I mean, she says it wasn't somebody in the community, which maybe it wasn't, fair enough. But again, it's that level of narcissism and disregard for people that she involved them in a conspiracy to commit fraud.
You know, and that's the thing. She says that, you know, I did it because I was afraid. And that very well may be true, but she wasn't so afraid that she wasn't able to, on the fly, think up of a way out of that one.
Yeah, it's that level of sophistication.
Well, I don't think she did that on the fly.
Do you possibly think there's a bit of she could be a sociopath?
Yeah, well, as a lawyer, I am a practiced liar. And I don't think even I could come up with something so sophisticated on the fly.
So, I
certainly don't have a friend that I could call at such short notice and have them be complicit.
Yeah, it's a really, you know.
Well, what it actually says is that what worries me, and this is why I brought it up with her, if she has someone there that's willing to do that for her,
how do we know she would have somebody who's an attorney willing to do that?
No. Even worse. Even worse than this. If she has someone there that at the drop of a hat, she can phone up and say, pretend to be this, and they will do it, no questions asked. What worries me is, one, it would indicate that she has done something like this before. Yeah, and this was leading to my fear is that
she'll do it again.
My biggest fear is that she'll disappear out of this community and then reappear in another community and do the exact same thing, the exact same cycle.
Yeah,
here's what's your biggest
sophistication. This isn't the first time she's done it. We all know it's not the first time she's done this.
Right. I'm not trying to speak for you, Crafty, but I think what I'm hearing you say is that your biggest fear is that the only thing she learned from this was how to do it better.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's what I'm worried about. And the next, see, here's the thing. When someone gets away with something like this, they become brave enough to do it again. And they do it bigger the next time. And what I'm worried about is, like, this took the whole fucking year, took a lot out of me. It took a lot out of Jess. It took a lot out of fucking Tony because of what we had to put up with. And of course, there's the likes of Kiri Mac. There's the likes of Global Chris that had umpteen fucking times the amount of bullshit that we had to put up with as well. My worry is that what happens to the next person? You know, the next person might not be brave enough, might not be strong enough to actually bring this out public, or to ask for help, or to challenge her in any way, and that's what I worry about. Is because sooner or later, if she keeps doing this destructive behavior, this is what I said to her. Something is going to happen. She's going to do something that she can't take back. And it's going to either take her life or someone else's.
Well, there is an element of this. She does need to be very careful about her own mental health and that of others, because the stuff that she's throwing around does have consequences. It had consequences on my mental health. It had consequences on, and I was only peripherally affected. But nowhere near the extent that Crafty and Jessica were impacted by this. And there have been other victims of there have been other victims of Red's rhetoric and his posse destroying communities, destroying groups that they didn't like.
Just individuals.
And even entire groups and individuals, and it just needs to stop, because these things actually do have consequences. They do have consequences on the mental health of others, and you cannot claim that the mental health of the people that you are viciously verbally attacking is immaterial and of no concern. Yeah. It demonstrably is, and
that's another symptom and another behavior of the narcissistic disorder. She simply doesn't care.
Yeah,
she doesn't see.
Yeah, she had no problem sticking the dogs on everybody else. She had no problem watching Cheshire Vic go after Crafty Keela. She had no problem.
My own channel.
All these other people, with them attacking you, attacking Amy, attacking anybody who dared speak out against what she had to say.
Her attack dogs found my Facebook page and tried to dox me and get me disbarred from practicing as a lawyer. But that's not my real name.
Yeah.
I don't use my real name anywhere on social media.
Your real name isn't Tusk?
Nope. I don't use my real name on social media for precisely this reason. I am vulnerable as a legal professional. All it takes is a minor complaint against me, and I'll be suspended pending investigation. So I have to protect myself. She set her attack dogs on me simply because I said I was more inclined to believe Keela's side of the story than hers during the whole Fallout and doxing episode. That's how petty and vicious she is.
Yeah, when I watched Keela's video, I thought, that's clumsily worded. Keela, I don't think you're that sort of person, but somebody could interpret it that way. But Ilya knew Keela better than I did, and she should have known that Keela would never go that way. But she instead went around convincing everybody else, and having and having a claim about being physically assaulted in the meantime. As a result of somebody turning up at her house, somebody that she claimed at the time was her abusive ex-husband.
I like how she dodged that question too. By the way,
Well, I did ask her at
abusive. Are you saying he was physically abusive? Oh, he was definitely abusive. Are you saying he was physically abusive?
Yeah.
He was definitely abusive.
Oh, he was toxic. He knew what he was.
Right.
No. We're asking you, did the motherfucker beat you? That's the question.
At the time she made this claim, I presented myself and said, look, I have some friends who work in various police departments. Do you have a crime number? Silence.
No. And
Just
that's the
went
thing.
silent.
When she refused to answer that question directly and say, yes, he physically abused me, she answered that question
Yep.
by saying, no, he didn't, because now he's toxic. Now he's abusive. And I get it. I get abusive relationships. I understand them. I've been in them. But the question was very, very, very specific. And the fact that she couldn't answer it was important.
Well,
That
the
was
fact
all
that she
about
was also
controlling-
very,
Yeah.
the fact that she was also very specific in her wording, and Tusk again, as somebody trained in cross-examination, would have picked up on that as well. Like, she was willing to commit to abusive, but not physically abusive. That's always a giveaway when they try and pick the bits out of that.
That whole story was concocted to manipulate someone. And if she had said he was physically abusive, then she just slandered them. And that's serious. So it went from being he beat me up and broke my teeth to he was toxic, he's a nuisance. I didn't like the way he spoke to me, and downplaying it every single time. So once the moment's passed where I think we all know who the target of this story was, don't we?
Mm-hmm.
Right. So once Punchy had done his white knight act and don't worry, I'll save you, I'll send you money or whatever it was, then she can start downplaying it. Until it got till tonight, where she essentially had to admit that nothing happened at all. Him and his current partner are just not very nice people. And that was it. It went from he punched me in the face and broke my teeth to, I just don't like him very much. A year after the fact.
Right. I just want to address something because people are asking who she slept with. First of all, none of your fucking business.
Yeah, that's utterly irrelevant. I've said this
really
twice in chat.
None.
I'm
I'm sorry.
Stop
No,
asking.
just stop for a minute. It is none of your fucking business. No, it wasn't Reds. First of all, it wasn't Reds. So just drop it, okay?
It doesn't matter if it was.
No,
Yeah,
it wouldn't. Here's the thing.
yeah,
Here's the thing.
Yeah.
Ilya is an adult. Who she slept with was an adult. Therefore, mind your fucking business.
Yeah. If you just want to come here and dig up gossips, go, ooh, she slept with her, blah, 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 then
It just
grow
does
up.
me head in.
It's none of your fucking business.
It does me head in. Who gives a fuck? That's not important. What's important is she fucking stole $4,500 nearly of people's money. And yes, it was a big step. People got that back. That was important. Who gives a fuck who she slept with? It's not your business.
I do want to address the rumor that Jessica G started in the chat that Kim was sexually involved with me at some point. No, that didn't happen.
First of all, if that had happened, the cost of the fundraiser would be nearly double.
Yeah. But eye bleach. No, it's the idea that someone's personal, outside and beyond the damage she's caused here and the money she stole, beyond that, I personally don't give a crap what she did.
Yeah.
And neither should anybody else. I don't come to your door and ask you.
I don't mean too bad, but it's not anyone's business. She's a fucking adult.
Did someone in this? Let me ask you a question. I'm reading the side chat. Did somebody in this conversation bring up the fact that she slept with someone?
Yes, it was brought up earlier on.
Yeah, it was actually.
Very early on in the chat. Someone said, "Well, who did you sleep with?"
No. I mean, not in the chat. Between the four of us,
Ilya talked about it.
Yeah, she did bring it up.
Suggested that was one of the reasons why the cancer, why she made the cancer claim was to avoid dealing with that whole bullshit and dealing with my video as well.
She admitted. She admitted on Nate's stream, I think it was.
She brought it. Okay, I just wanted to make sure.
Money from somebody on a false pretense and use it to visit someone else.
Yeah.
So that to me seems like it's another way for her to be able to play a victim card later on. It seems like she's playing her cards very carefully, if she's putting that out there saying, oh yeah, well, there's this other thing that I'm trying to avoid, but I'm going to make sure and say that so everybody knows that I said it, and I can always come back to it and say, no, but remember this thing that I said I was trying to avoid?
Yeah, but here's the thing, Johnny, though. This is an irrelevance.
No, I get it. I get it. I'm 100%. I 100% get it. It's completely irrelevant.
Well, it's an excuse. It's an excuse for her to use to play victim,
Exactly.
and I get that.
But the thing she's admitted to pale this into insignificance. Who she slept with and why she slept with him is no one's business. Now, personally, I don't care.
Exactly.
But it's an absolutely insignificant detail.
Mhm.
But she laboured it
Right.
to try and disguise why she did it in the first place. It was all about control.
Mhm.
It's also, I just want to sort of address this more generally. There's an implicit judgment that if a woman is sexually active and has multiple partners, that somehow she's a slut. And it's whereas if a guy is expected to have multiple sexual partners, and it, let's not, that's a confection. That's a complete fantasy. Women have just as much right to have just as active a sex life as they're comfortable with, and as long as it's between consenting adults, it's nobody else's business. So let's leave that out of it completely.
I do want to make the point, okay, that at the time there's questions over whether she was with Punchy or not with Punchy. And the only thing I will say about this, guys, if you are in an online relationship with someone that you have never, ever, ever met, you're not in a relationship with someone. Sorry. Hate me if you want. It's not a fucking relationship. It's a friendship. It's a partnership if you want. It's not a relationship. I'm sorry. If you have not met that person, then no. No.
I would disagree, but that's
Crafty, is this your way of
irrelevant.
telling me that we're breaking up?
No, it frustrates me because the onus then is on the what happens in these quote unquote online relationships. If there's no intention to meet up, if there's no intention to be actually together on both sides, then you can't really call it cheating. You can't really call it betrayal because you're not together.
Oh, I would argue that it depends on promises made and promises broken.
But that's to some extent. I think that that's also a matter for the people involved in the relationship, and it's not a matter of external criticism.
I'm gonna criticize it. It's my stream. I can criticize it.
That's a good point. We said we want to get off the subject of our private sex life, and we're back on it again. So I would rather.
I did want to make that point. It just frustrates me because you put all your emotion into an online relationship that's not actually real. But and again, what it does is it prevents you from actually making real life relationships and attachments.
That's the point, isn't it? The more she said to Punchy and whoever else she was involved with at the time, oh, don't worry, I'm with you, I'll be with you, you and I are together. It's all about control.
It's another manipulation.
If she can stop, if it was just putting myself into that position, because she did try this bullshit with me, and I told her to fuck off at the time. And she'd say, oh, you and I are together. It's just a way of stopping me being with anybody else. She doesn't want me. She doesn't want anybody else to have me.
She wants options.
Yeah. Well, no, I don't think it's so much options. If I can have one simp or 5, I'm going to take 5 every single time. But it's that level of narcissism that doesn't occur to her that each of those 5 simps will talk to one another.
It just wrecks my head. But anyway, some of the questions that I asked, there was a lot of questions that I did have, and the problem is I didn't have all night, and I wasn't going to give her all night. But it was clear from the get-go that a lot of it we weren't going to get. We were going to get deflection, which happened. We were going to get straight up lies, which happened, or we were going to get half-truths, which also happened. So the main thing for me was to keep her talking. I wanted
Yep.
her to talk, but at the same time, I wasn't going to listen to her for the whole night. I just couldn't.
No.
And as I say, I think that in that sense, you gave her all the rope in the world, and she used it to tie her own noose. Like you weren't aggressive. You came on. You gave her every chance to explain stuff, to be to be repentant, to make amends, and instead she chose to try and double down on everything. And for me, that's that was her choice. She chose to do it that way, but she did it in full view of the community.
And that's what I wanted. Honestly, that's what I wanted. Everything that I had been telling people for the last 8-9 months, we got here in 2 hours, an hour and a half, 2 hours, and that's okay for me. I was very realistic in what I expected out of this. I didn't expect the full truth. I expected obstination. I expected fucking deflections, and we got them. But having said that, I'm thankful she did it. I'm thankful I did it. And it was done in the way that it was done. Because she needed to have her say. I needed to hear her have her say.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And I needed to justify the second shower I'm going to take today.
Yeah, I do feel kind of dirty after listening to that.
Kind of?
And now, I have heard some fantastic lies in my time. Some brilliantly concocted lies. Some lies that have got people out of what would otherwise have been a lengthy jail sentence, and you have to applaud them for it. But I don't think I've ever heard such utter fucking bullshit in my entire life.
And again, it wasn't about having everything line up perfectly. It was about giving you guys in the chat the ability to hear what she had to say and make your own decisions about it. Because anyone with half a brain would understand what I'd been shouting about for 8 months.
If you look at the last plot hole Dingleberry's video, the last minute, you'll hear everything that Ilya Moon had to say is summed up quite succinctly in that last 60 seconds.
Yep.
Yeah.
That's all I'll say.
But she didn't have to come. That's all I'd say. She did not have to come.
Yeah. That's again. Now I'm caught between two positions here. One, yeah, she didn't have to come. She could just have walked away, and no one would have been any the wiser. In a month's time, we'd all have forgotten. But the fact that she came, said, "Okay, you've got something to say," but to come and then so blatantly lie in the face of overwhelming evidence. Yeah, to try and manipulate, to try and paint herself in a better light, where there's no real benefit for her here at all. Doesn't matter what she did tonight, she's never going to come out looking good. So it just seemed like a futile exercise.
If she would have came out again and said, just instead of trying to make a bunch of excuses and, I'm just trying to give context, nobody fucking cares about your context. If she would have just came out and said, look, I fucking lied to you people. I tried to take advantage of you. I did take advantage of you. I'm serious. No, I'm 100% serious. Had she, if this was this mental health issue crisis, blah, 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 bullshit. Hey guys, I fucked you over. I got caught. I hate the fact that I got caught because now I have to do this. I fucked you over stuff. I'm willing to bet everybody in the chat would have said, you know what? I fucking hate you for lying to me about cancer, but I can respect you for wearing that badge and facing the fire for it.
Okay. We have a saying in our motorcycle club. It doesn't matter what you bring as long as it's real. Mm-hmm. If you've got nothing to say, I've got nothing to say. I don't have any cool stories. I haven't done anything. As long as it's real,
right,
we'll accept it. If you fuck up and you come out and say to me, look, I fucked up, I tried to rip you off or whatever it is, we say, right, okay, whatever's going to happen is going to happen. But you admitted it. You were real with me. And that's, again, we can respect that. And I would have much rather she come out and said, I took you all for fools, and I got away with it for so long that I thought I could get away with it indefinitely. Eventually, I got caught. Now I have to admit to it. But you know what? I did what I did, and that's that. And that would mean it wouldn't have been nice to hear that we'd all been taken for fools. But it was just the idea that we'd somehow fooled ourselves by misunderstanding her. That was the worst part. You know, we have some culpability in this.
Yeah, and there are a lot of people. There are a lot of people who were saying, "Hey, look, I'm sorry for my part in this." Well, are you really? Are you really?
No, because this is my point last week. That if they were really sorry, and this is why I talked about the narcissist enablers. And I said narcissist enablers bingo for a fucking reason, lads. There are still people in this community, if you can call it a community, still people hanging around that are still lying their asses off, that are trying to downplay their roles in it, that if they had any fucking morals at all, they'd have come out when they realized this was bullshit. Like myself, they would have stood up and said this is bullshit. They didn't. Some of them faded away. Some of them kept quiet and pretended like it didn't exist. Went on to other shows or back to other shows or whatever. There are people out there in this community who knew exactly how.
You're breaking up, Caleb.
Tell the goats to, work a little harder.
Yeah, chew faster.
Yeah.
But while Keela's not here, let's wreck the place.
We've taken over Crafty's. We've taken over Crafty's stream, everybody.
Well, I'd just like to say, Ilya or Kim, whatever you're calling yourself today, I know you're listening to this either in real time or, later on because your ego won't allow otherwise. Please, for everybody's sake, stop fucking lying to us. We know what you did. We know why you did it. Just admit it. That's it. Just come out and say you took us for fools and we were so stupid that you got away with it. But eventually it took an outsider to catch you and put your hands up and just, even if you laugh right in our faces for being so stupid, just admit it. That's it. That's all we're asking from you.
Yeah.
Please stop lying to us.
My internet kind of cut out there. Sorry.
That's okay. We're just telling the goats to chew faster.
Yes.
Yeah, and this whole bullshit about, I had to get away from the community, bullshit. She never left the community. She's still here.
She's still here. She's got a stock account. It's probably somebody we speak to every fucking day.
Right.
So, she had the opportunity here, and I mean, what I want actually is independent of her. So to some extent, I view her sort of like a bucket of something noxious or toxic or both, or a wild animal. If you have the opportunity of going near that or staying away from it, you stay away from it once you know what it is. Mm-hmm. The problem is that she was allowed to sort of wheedle her way into the community when people in the community were saying, well, that individual is dangerous. And is harmful, and people didn't want to hear that. But now, what the brilliant thing about tonight, from my perspective, because I'm not angry at Ilya, I'm not angry at Kim anymore, because it is unhealthy to make your mental health conditional on somebody like that. She is going to be who she is. She is going to do what she does. You can't control it. You can't do anything about it. The best you can do is not put yourself in a position where you're vulnerable to her on any level. And I feel like this is a lesson that the community at large had to learn about this individual and about others like her, because she's not the only one in the world. There will be other people like this. And as a community, we need to be aware of how to detect these people and how to defend ourselves against them.
Yes.
Yeah.
And that's the thing. That is my point. There are still people in this community, the same people who made a buffer zone around Ilya. They're still there, pretending to be victims, downplaying their role in what they have done, still saying that we're lying about them. And all the while, as soon as another person comes in that's charismatic, that's articulate, that knows how to play people, they'll go directly for them. And they will do the exact same thing because these fucking assholes have not learned. They haven't learned a goddamn thing. And the only people who are going to suffer are the people who watch these shows. The people who now can't trust the likes of OPT, who is fighting for his life. The people that are watching this show who thinks, well, is she really telling the truth about this? Should I really support her? If any of us have a fundraiser, can I really donate to that? People who genuinely need help, genuinely in this community. We are a caring bunch of people. We can't trust anyone now. And to be honest with you, I hope we do go back to a position where we're willing to take those risks, but we're not afraid to ask for proof.
Yeah, the whole donation thing again. You can make a direct donation to a hospital on someone's behalf. That way, it doesn't. The money, like if OPT lawyer says, "Hey, look, guys, I didn't want to have to do this because of all the bullshit that's been going on, but the bills are piling up, whatever." Then instead of saying, "Here's OPT lawyer, here's some money," no, it's what's the hospital? We'll send it on your behalf. And he can tell the hospital, "Hey, I'm going to get people coming. The people are going to be sending money, and it's going to be sent on quote OPT lawyer's behalf. That's me." And the hospital will know what to do with that money. And then if people, there's so many different ways that we could still, work on fundraisers that we don't have to give, any intermediary any kind of money. You can go directly to whatever you want to donate to, whatever cause you're trying to help. That money can go directly to that cause without there being any middleman, middlewoman, period.
It breaks my heart because it does make it so much harder for people who are genuinely trying to help. And I hope, as I said, I hope people still care enough to put themselves out there. I can't see myself doing any fundraisers on my channel. I do fundraising in my real life, particularly for cancer research. What hit me hard about this, the hardest about this was March was the 1-year anniversary of one of my uncles who fought for 18 months. And we had to watch him waste away. 2 young kids. And there's so many people in this community that have been devastated by cancer. And our trust has been so fully abused. And nothing will ever make up for it. No amount of I'm sorry will ever make up for it. And for me, I hope that the people out there that have been through similar experiences to myself, where very close family has gone through this disease, where we've lost people to this disease, that we do not allow people like Ilya Moon to fucking dictate to us that we're not allowed A, talk about our experiences, and B, be there for others who genuinely need help.
Yeah.
I wouldn't give her that amount of power.
Yeah, again, I think that's the reason why it's so upsetting for me specifically, because we're right now, my wife and I are waiting on biopsy results as we speak, and that shit's not fun.
No,
not at all.
And to be brutally honest, I don't think that Ilya Moon really thought through the consequences of her lie. But once she'd committed to it, she was stuck with it. And it was only over time, I think, that the magnitude of the lie and just how serious people were taking it and the enthusiasm they were showing for fundraisers, etc., that she perhaps began to understand that this was actually too big an escalation. But it's always the problem with escalation. If you just keep on escalating again and again and again, eventually you're going to go too far. You're going to jump the shark, or you're going to, just break everybody's. You're going to break everybody's suspension of disbelief. They're not going to follow you across that last skip of imagination. So I'm not sure that it was premeditated, but yeah, this is the thing. Her focus on her emotional needs, the attention, the validation, the sympathy that she craved from the rest of the community, just drove her to a place that was actually a lot more negative than she would have gone to had she been premeditating it. But that's no excuse whatsoever. It just goes to show how dangerous this condition is for her and for those around her. And again, we don't need to be. What I'm hoping for from this is that we can compartmentalize Kim. I don't wish her ill. I don't dislike her. But I'm not going to be near her in the future.
Yeah.
I'm not going to be around her.
I think there's a danger in that, in saying, right, let's put this behind us. It was an ugly episode, and let's move on. That has to be done, obviously. But there are still people in this community who are running low-level scams.
Yep.
And they are not getting away with it at all. I don't know if any of them are watching here, whatever, but I will say this to everybody out there who is running some little, kind of 2-cent scam. We're looking at you. Don't think because we caught Ilya and to a lesser degree Sean, which I don't think was a scam. Don't think you're getting away with this. We're still coming after you.
I want to address a response in the chat from Fiona Robertson, who I've only had a few interactions with, but apparently she was victimized by Red's rhetoric and his posse. I don't know if Ilya was involved in that, but yeah, Ilya definitely did premeditate the mobilization of the hostility. She was definitely talking to people behind the scenes, firing up their outrage. She knew exactly what buttons to push on Cheshire Vic and Reds and Golden Unicorn to get them to act the way they did. And they were more than happy to play patsies because that fed their emotional needs to be white knights. And similarly, she manipulated members of, at least some members, of Sit Down with Debunkers. She played on their desire to have relationships with her and their loyalty, and she got them to do stuff. That being said, I don't feel like a lot of them have actually necessarily fully accepted their responsibility for their choice to believe somebody who was.
I want to put in there. They haven't accepted responsibility at all.
Yeah, there's still people out there saying, "Oh, I'm sorry because Ilya manipulated me." I'm sorry for what I said. There's
people out there, hang on, Tusk. There are people out there who have not apologized, even halfway apologized, even attempted. Cheshire Vic sat there on her stream, on several streams, and said she has done nothing fucking wrong at all. That the problem
Cheshire
is
a fucking cunt.
The problem is with everyone else. But Cheshire is a cunt, in my view.
Did I say that out loud? I'm sorry.
But she's still prominent in the community, and her and others are acting as though, even when it came to the Twitter bullshit, fucking Sean Huffer jumped in, fucking Reds jumped in, Cheshire Vic was the main one, fucking Steve McRae jumped in, Boole jumped in. They all jumped down my throat to tell me that I was wrong and that I was evil and whatever, or that this didn't matter and that didn't matter until they fucking needed it, of course, over here. But the point of it is, there are people in this community who have not accepted any responsibility at all. And just for that reason, yes, I agree, Tony, we need to move on from this, but we can't forget it. We need to learn the lessons. And the people who have actually fucking helped her do this
well, there was someone,
do need to be held to account.
There is one thing I want to point out, right? So, Tony, you were talking about how she knew how to manipulate this person, that person, this person. I disagree. I think she's more skillful than that. I think she knew exactly which one person to manipulate and have them white knight for her. Like in the Red's rhetoric crew, I knew she knew how to pull on Red's heartstrings. And Red's got Cheshire and Golden Unicorn and all those other fucking idiots to do their thing to
actually
pile on.
No, she got Chesh. She didn't get Reds.
Well, no, that's fair. I'm not saying that. I'm sorry. I'm not saying that it was Red specific. I'm just saying that would be one path that she could have gone. If it was Cheshire Vic, then it was Cheshire Vic. But she knew how to pick. She knew how to find the most gullible person in there that would be the loudest and most influential to get people on her side.
It was
you know that time when you're with somebody or you're whatever, and then you realize, no, you wouldn't just ask, would you? You'd manipulate me.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
you know, that's what she's about. She wouldn't just ask. Christ,
it's not. Hey guys, can I get $5 for something
for her?
Right.
She would set up a narrative where she was the victim, but never directly ask them to do anything on her behalf.
Yeah, it's not, hey, I need $5 because I'm hungry. It's, oh, well, this happened to me and that happened to me, and I'm just short on money this time, and I don't know if I'm gonna be able to feed this or feed that or feed myself. To make you feel bad. So that way it's your idea.
And then you go, oh, look, I was just belly aching. I wasn't asking for your help. Right. Yeah, I know, but I want to help.
Exactly.
That's who she is.
But that's, and this is the part of the problem, because again, it comes back to the people who are still in this community acting all fucking innocent. And I got into a little bit of an argument with one of them on your server, Johnny, who pretends that they had no involvement and they are the victims. No, you're not the victims. There are victims in this, and the victims are the people, that have been forced out of the community or almost been forced out because of the level of toxicity towards them as individuals. And the other people are the ones who showed up for the streams and who believed in what was being said from the fucking pulpit. Do you know? But the people, I'm sorry if you don't agree, but the people who sat there with her on these streams, who pretend to be victims. Sorry, lads, you're not the victims.
No,
you were the ones who made it so comfortable and so easy for her to do this. You are the enablers. You are the dangerous ones because you're still in the community and you still have the power to wrap yourself around the next person who wants to take advantage of them and create another little fucking bubble. And that's what I'm afraid of. That's why I've kind of retreated back into my own channel, and the little channels that I said little channels, fucking agree to disagree isn't really little. Fucking pain of progress won't be little forever. But that's why I'm only focusing on those individual channels and focusing on the people who are not involved in all of this bullshit. But let's get one thing very fucking straight, who the victims are. Because it's not anyone who sat there week in, week out on sit down with the bunkers. It's not. I'm sorry, you're not the fucking victims. You are part of the problem. And by claiming that you're the victims while attacking people who are the genuine victims, you're still part of the fucking problem. Stop being part of the problem.
Well, there was someone. Actually, I'm going to message you privately.
Yeah.
If it's okay for me to say this.
So, just while that's occurring, I want to say, look. So, if you're, the thing was that people like Jessica G and Crafty were trying to warn the community and protect the community from a threat that was arising within it, and when and they got attacked for doing so. So when somebody is, trying to do something and saying, look, I'm not a, just, and this is how Crafty presented it to me, was, you just need to be careful of yourself around Ilya. Just be mindful. And I have to say that Ilya's behavior had actually raised a flag with me, because for somebody who was incredibly touchy about people mentioning her son, she did take the opportunity to bring him up
as often as possible.
As often as possible. And if, my experience would be somebody for whom that is a tender subject, they shouldn't be doing that. They should be, they won't bring it up themselves, precisely for fear that it's going to be used against them. But she actually sort of seemed to be using it another way. And so I'd already spotted sort of a weird tendency, but, some people are just, that's the extent of their weirdness. This is something that they've not responded to healthily. And I had no idea at the level of toxicity and malice. But you just, let's look at, again, it seems like a small thing, but just that phone call that she made to a friend, think through that situation. Imagine the level of organization, the level of willingness to engage in an active fraud, and then turn around and say, well, I was trying to move past it. No, you were very calculating there what you did, and you coordinated a plan of action, and you got somebody else to lie for you. And she produced fake receipts. You look at each of these actions, she sat down in front of a computer, she composed these fraudulent receipts, and then she sent them off. And you just think, if you have ever done this, if you have ever done anything like that, you actually need some help, or you're a criminal. One of the two. You just, if you sit down and you examine any one of these actions, you can see this is somebody who's ill. This is somebody you cannot trust on any level. And then look at everything else she's done and everything else she's been involved in. And if people had started paying attention earlier on, when this shit was small, we would never have gotten here.
Yeah, but I mean, look, I don't want to dwell on that. What I want to dwell on is that we learn from this and we don't let it happen again. That's the main thing.
Exactly.
Because the next time this happens, it's going to be fucking 10 times worse.
What we have to do.
What I was going to say really quick is nobody wants to be that person that says, hey, that Frecker's lying about having cancer. You know what I mean?
No.
That's a look. She knew what she was doing when she said cancer. It wasn't just, oh, well, it was something I just thought up on the spur of the moment. Bullshit. Because the level of thought that went into the type of cancer that she had and all this bullshit. No, this was something that was very well organized and concocted. This wasn't just an on the spur of the moment, I need to think of something. Oh, geez, cancer. Fuck off. So because she knew that again, that's one of those things that, and look at their narrative. The whole narrative behind anybody who said, hey, what's going on here was, how dare you fucking question somebody who has cancer?
Yeah, well, here's what I want to bring up. I've asked Kayla's permission to do this and she's okay with it. We've got rid of the cancer in Ilya, right?
See what you did there.
Right, she's gone, right? But what's left is the roots. They're still there. The people who are refusing to admit any responsibility or accept that they had any part in enabling this. Last week, Christ Puncher came on Kayla's stream to talk about what had happened there. And he came on drunk, which I don't think he had much notice. So that's probably unfair of me to say that. So I'll retract that. But he saw that I was in the back room in StreamYards. He went, "Oh, I see Tusk's in." He was a bit of a dick to me last time we were in chat. If he apologises, fuck you. I'm not apologising for a fucking thing. What you did to me, and what you said to me, and the way you spoke to me and treated me, and I have to apologise to you. Fuck you. and he was very belligerent. But again, he was drunk. He was put on the spot. But then he was on another stream last week. I think it was yours, Johnny.
Yeah, it was mine.
Yeah, and I could not believe what I was hearing. 1-800 eat shit. All you losers in the chat, fuck you. I thought, are you going to accept any responsibility for what you did? Because what he said was, I'm not going to apologise for what I did in defence of a friend. I would do the same for any of you. And that's the fucking problem. We don't want you to behave like that. We don't need you to behave like that. No one asked you to behave like that. If someone was attacking me for whatever reason, I wouldn't want you to come out and start behaving the way you did in defence of Ilya.
Yeah.
That's the problem. People like you.
Exactly. So that is such an excellent point. And I was struck by I didn't watch Christ Puncher on the plot hole, but I didn't see much in the way of repentance by Christ Puncher, and there was a lot of, well, I don't want to talk about that. I'm moving on from that. Well, the rest of us will be will feel a lot happier moving on from that if you will take responsibility for what you have done. And I was defending a friend. Well, you will notice that my defenses, when I put out my videos about anti-bullying, about just don't make attack videos, stop attacking, just don't do it. I did not come out by saying Res Rhetoric and Cheshire Vicks are worthless, idiotic cunts. Nobody should believe a word. Nobody should believe a word they say. I think over time, yes, I would have been justified in saying that, but I didn't say that because what I wanted was actually for everybody to behave themselves. There's Jessica G and Crafty Keeler have never asked me to make videos or to say stuff about people or indeed to stand up for them, because if
we can do it ourselves.
If there's one thing we've learned, it's that they don't need anybody standing up for them. Jessica G's statement earlier on, my God, she dissected Ilya perfectly, which is kind of scary. That's how and Crafty is no less formidable. If a friend is making you feel like you need to prove this or do this in order to defend them, then question whether or not they're actually your friend, question whether or not you're actually being manipulated, and question whether or not you should be that easy to manipulate.
Yeah.
Well, can I give you a laugh, Tusk?
Keela, can I just stop it just before I forget this? Someone said something the other day, I'm not going to name them, right, when we were talking about this whole situation, and it made me laugh, but at the same time, it's quite a dangerous attitude to take, where they said, well, no one's fooling me. Well, how would you know? Don't set yourself up as no one can fool me, because then that's the whole point of being fooled, isn't it? You don't know you're being fooled.
You're playing the ego. That's how you fool somebody.
That's how you fool somebody, exactly.
Well, before we go on, I do want to make the point about Punchy. When Punchy messaged you, Tusk, he actually believed that you were Tatty as well.
Oh, in that case, double fuck him.
Speak of the devil, and the devil appears. So he actually sent messages to Tatty, abusing Tatty too, and Tatty had nothing to do with it.
Right. So he was actually meaning to attack me, but he attacked Tatty, and then tried to get Tatty to apologise for what he'd said to me.
Yeah.
That's brilliant. Fuck you. Double fuck.
I don't know what the fuck.
No, that's ridiculous.
What do
sorry,
you-
Johnny. I meant to say there.
No,
I don't know if you've read the side chat. I asked Kayla's permission to bring up what Punchy had said, but
Yeah.
I never thought to ask yours. I do apologise.
no. That's fine. I was there watching.
Not you,
Fucking
Johnny.
Johnny.
PhD Tony has elected himself my representative.
Oh, is he your representative?
So he's deaf. He's deaf representative. I just wanted to say I was in the chat with Punchy and Tusk, and I thought Punchy's being a bit of a dick here. Tusk doesn't want to be his friend. Leave him alone. Just stop.
Yeah,
Apparently, hang on. Matrix Media says, "Hello guys, YouTube recommended this to me. What is this channel all about?" God help you. You came in at the worst fucking possible time. We're talking about stuff that has happened in the community. One of the scams that happened, it's done. We'll be moving on. But this channel itself kind of looks at conspiracy theories and why they're bullshit, and also looks at kind of issues in society and why they're issues. So the sociology of problems in society. And that's what the channel is about, usually. But this has to be spoken about, so that's why we're talking about it. Welcome.
Maybe go and watch some of the fixed videos that aren't live, because we're being a bit rude about some people at the moment.
Go watch the goat videos. Those are awesome.
Oh yeah, definitely watch those.
Yeah. Go on, Johnny. Sorry, I misheard it as Tony. I'm sorry, Johnny.
I can see how that happens. It's okay.
Yeah, because it sounds so similar, and
they end the same. I too have a PhD, only it's not the kind of PhD that you have, and in fact, it's really just a letters PhD written down on a piece of paper.
Yeah, that doesn't count, right? That's Riley level PhD.
Yeah, no worries.
I spent nearly 7 years getting mine, and for that fuck, they just say, "Oh, no, you're not. No, you're not." You don't just get to write in crayon on a school fucking jotter and claim you're a doctorate.
Yeah, no claim of doctorate for me. All I have is a BA. That's it. That's a badass degree, okay, motherfucker.
Yeah, that is a bad.
Just so you know, it's about 3:15 in the morning for me, so I will be finishing up in the next 15 minutes.
Okay.
So if there is any more points that you want to make them now, because I'm tired. This stream has been fucking hard.
Yeah. Well, I want to say congratulations, because I think you did it exactly right. You didn't attack Kim. You didn't make it. You asked questions that needed answers, but you didn't turn it. You could have called her up for lying. You could have called her up on just picking these things apart. But it would have descended into an argument at that point. So you just let her dig her own grave.
And I trust my audience. I trust my audience to be able to make up their own mind. It's not for me to tell them what to think.
Yeah, ultimately, everybody in this stream has to come to their own conclusions, and there may be people too who disagree with my interpretation of what Kim said and whether or not she was being honest. Like, as you say, but everybody got to see Kim operating in full public view, and I think that was actually very instructive.
Yeah, that's a very good point. Yeah, now we recognise the behaviour of the narcissist, it might be easier to spot next time.
The only thing I will say about that is that Kim looked like the cockroaches when the light gets turned on.
Yeah. Give them no escape route and just let them go round in circles.
Mm-hmm.
Well, with that, there are a few super chats that I need to get to, and then I can close the stream down, and you guys can digest on this for the next few days. As I said, it's not my job to tell you what to think. I could not force her to tell the truth. I could not force her to give us the answers that we wanted or we needed. But my job or my duty for me was to keep her talking. And to ask the questions that people had. And I asked the questions Whether or not we got the answers that we wanted, that's up to you to decide. But those questions, well, some of those questions were asked. So JL Warren for $4.99 says, other than me, mea culpa is not in her vocabulary. For $10 Amy Hogan says, Cheshire Vic is an inciter. She incites people against her perceived enemies. She did this to us. Another thing she omitted, what she and that crew did to Matthew. Interesting that. Matthew, for anyone who doesn't know, is Amy's son, who does be on the streams, who knows Ilya quite well because he worked with Ilya during the iNetwork, and he has autism. His behavioral issues became worse because of the attacks on Amy. So that's just in reference to that, so you understand if you weren't here for what actually happened to Amy. And if you haven't seen it, my stream last week covering this same fucking issue, Amy actually got to tell her own story, because I don't like putting words in other people's mouths. $2, Jesus Christ, Jessica. Jess says, Ilya Moon's cancer was diagnosed as Cheshire Vic. Another $2 from Jessica. She says, I have received a ransom note from Franklin. Franklin doesn't exist. And Jessica G, if you want to see her, she will be on Life on the Flip Side at 11:30 UTC tomorrow afternoon. So less than 12 hours away.
Wait, did you just say you snuffed Franklin?
No. And lastly, $2 from Jess says, everyone let Incel Tony speak. $10 from Theo, how dare Kim think this community is so stupid. And the last one from Insidious Vids says, for $4.99, great job, Keela. Masterclass in interviewing a narcissist. Hate how this show this is how a lot of people found your channel, but you deserve a larger platform. Thank you, guys. And with that, I am going to, because I think I've woken up my landlords and they're not going to be happy with me. With that, I am going to end the stream, and thank you guys for coming out, and see you tomorrow.
Good
Bye.
night, everyone, and
Bye.